Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and this is a new episode of the Provokers entitled The Sphere. We're going to go straight to my good buddy, Tim Carney, who's going to do the recap for what you may have missed last session. Tim, take it away.
You see Kristoff huddled over this weathered tome, and you can see that he's scrawling. And if you see the top of the page, it starts in this beautiful cipher. And it slowly starts to degrade into a sloppy cipher, which degrades into just Kristoff's regular handwriting. And if you could read the cipher at the top left of the page, it would start with, "Dear Diary," followed by, "It took me a long time to use the cipher to make that stupid joke." And you can see that Kristoff is writing this journal entry to his brother. And so he begins to do so. And he says, "Well, I went and did it. I got myself wrapped up in the exact kind of thing that you always said I would get myself wrapped up in. I'll keep this quick because I don't have much time to write. I met someone named Iskandar. And aside from our shared love of cheese, I think he found something you would have been really interested in, brother. Shards of this thing he's calling the God Sword. And he's strange. He's from a place that would be strange even to us. I'm learning more about magic, though. We found this sphere. I got it from my buddy Sandy. You'd like him. He's, well, keeping me grounded. This sphere, it can control the Bleak. It seems like it's a key. But I'm afraid that as readily as it can lock doors, it can unlock them. And Edric, sweet Edric, I've never seen such a cuddly, bloodthirsty guy. He's got me all wrapped up in this Provokers nonsense. And, well, he talks about them a lot. Even Sandy says that he saw one of them card or dice in a dream. And so we're here now and we're holding this sphere. And I think the one thing I'm doing that you'd approve of is I'm not going to give it to Iskandar. I might die here in this place, this temple of the unscorched. But if I do, whoever finds this book will know that I finally did good by the Stormraven name. And maybe they'll use it to find both of our murderers. Love and kisses, your brother.
Go ahead and give yourself a point of inspiration there, Tim. Thank you.
I use it for the looming threat.
I use it to teleport instantly out of the situation that we're in. The Provokers, along with Shade, the Drow, and Sister Kenza, are gathered in a small sleeping quarters in Drakfall Temple, the headquarters of the Order of the Unscorched, the monkish order from which Sander originates. They are holding this sphere, this somewhat mundane-looking stone object etched with deep runes, damaged and crumbling on one side. But this simple stone relic has brought them here. to the precipice of the biggest decision they've ever made. And that decision is to not give this stone to Iskandar of Haldrathine. Sister Kenza says, "Then that's it then. Well, we don't have much time. Come with me quickly. I have some things to bestow upon you before we meet with Iskandar." And she moves quickly out of the room, urging you to follow her.
Kristoff would follow, sort of without looking around at this point. He's probably pretty pumped on the adrenaline of what he feels is taking a minute to write his own death note.
Yeah, Sander follows.
Holly follows.
And Edric kind of pauses, bringing up the rear, and kind of looks back and breathes a very deep sigh. Right. Let's go be heroes. And little shakily, but with purpose, begins to walk the rest of them.
Kenza leads the four of you. Shade stays behind in the room, sort of gathering his things, sharpening the ends of his javelins. She brings you down a few flights of stairs, passing other members of the Order of the Unscorched on the way down, everyone bustling about, getting ready for the day. She takes you down a long spiral staircase, and the sounds of the people bustling about up above soon grow silent as this stone grows dense and thick around you. Soon enough, she grabs a torch from a sconce on the wall so that you can see, and she leads you down into a massive chamber that you have seen just a few times in your years with the Order of the Unscorched, Sander. She leads you to the Hall of Relics. The hall itself is guarded by a gigantic door. The door itself is carved with a deep sort of visage of what looks like a dwarven face. And as Kenza leads you down and you stand before this sentinel gate, she clears your throat and the door springs to life. The eyelids open up slowly, dust falling from them. The face on the door sort of shakes its head, and dust and debris and rocks, pebbles come falling off of it. The face says, "How can I be of service?" Kenza says, "Open in the name of the Unscorched." The door nods, and the face splits down the middle and rumbles open. Stale air rushes out to meet you, and Kenza steps through the threshold holding this torch aloft, and you see that the room beyond the sentinel gate is shelves, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shelves rising up, disappearing into the darkness. Ladders are leaned against a bunch of these shelves for people to be able to get up and access the relics. You see things both mundane and wondrous: weapons, armor, cubes, spheres, cloaks, amulets, wands, things that are familiar and completely indescribable at once. This is the Hall of Relics, and here you see the history of Erenoth just in front of you. The tangible history of thousands and thousands of years. Kenza moves quickly to one of these shelves. Here. The first thing are these. Crude, but They may serve you well. And she unrolls a cloth bundle, and you see 4 jagged-looking daggers wrapped quickly with this sort of scaled leather. Sander, you would know it to be drake leather. And you also recognize the shards. These are the pieces of the god sword. And Kenza has very sort of haphazardly fashioned 4 daggers for you. She hands one to each of you. I'm not sure why, but something tells me you may need these. Maybe not today, but at some point. Each of you takes one of these daggers in your hand, and you're almost disappointed that you don't feel some sort of power thrumming, but they're weighted well enough, and you think in a pinch you might be able to get some use out of it. She then moves to another shelf really quickly. For Kristoff, that uniform of yours has attracted undue attention. I think it's time for I think it's time for you to shed your skin, as it were. She brings out this beautiful but well-worn and rugged-looking suit of chain. And as she hands it to you, and it rests in your arms, Kristoff, it almost weighs nothing. You expected it to be very heavy. Chainmail is very, very heavy. But it feels like air in your hands. It feels like silk. This is Elven Chain, gifted to the elves of the Ravenstorm Highlands by the elves of Eridos during one elf moot or another. This, as far as I'm concerned, rightfully belongs to you anyway. Wear it with pride. It shall protect you. So, Tim, this is Elven Chain, which can be found on page 168 of your Dungeon Master's Guide. And even though it is medium armor, it basically can be worn by anybody, even if you don't have medium armor proficiency. And now, Edric, she moves to another shelf. She takes off something thick and heavy, this big iron, looks like a shield. It's wrapped up in cloth. She sort of unwraps it, brushes dust off of it. This is a mighty shield, once wielded by Torvald Feeblehammer, a champion of Bardoth, and an ancestor of one of the Provokers that you're so keen on. She pushes the shield towards you. Now, I notice that you have a knack for wielding a 2-handed polearm. This shield requires no hands. Simply speak the words on the back of it aloud, and it will spring to your defense for a short time, should you need it. So, Edric, this is an animated shield, which can be found on page 151 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Holly, something special for you. She hands you what looks like just a tiny sort of wooden figurine carved from this very dark-looking wood. She hands it to you, and you see that it's kind of the vague shape of an owl. This, while it may not seem immediately useful, well, this is a being, an ancient being of great power. It is called Nimbus, and it was once the companion of Algrim Emberhand. Should you ever require Nimbus's help, you must simply speak the word at the base of the totem aloud, and it will come to your aid.
She flips it over to look for the word.
And I'll let you decide what that word might be, or phrase.
Okay, she looks at it and nods and places it in a bag and kind of lowers her head deeply. She understands that this is no trinket.
And this is a figurine of wondrous power, which can be found on page 170 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. And it is a giant owl figurine. And finally, Sander. She moves to another shelf. Sander, I'm not sure if I've ever told you this, but you are named for Sander the Unscorched, the founder of our order. You were named to honor his memory, and so it seems fitting that you should receive these. She hands you a pair of rugged-looking bracers that seem to be reinforced with jagged pieces of glass from the sands of Sonageist. You may need to tighten them up a bit. He was a large man. She hands them to you. Sander, these are bracers of defense, which can be found on page 157 of the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Sander just handles them extremely reverently. First smile on his face in quite a while. But it's a solemn look still. Thank you. It's a great honor.
These are all relics that I am keeper of. These are relics that were found and protected by me. And so it falls to me to give them to you. You are all now keepers. Now, I cannot officially welcome you into the Order of the Unscorched, but these relics belong to you now. And when you see fit, pass them on to someone else, someone who would use them to better Erenoth. Use them well. You may need them. Now, the appearance and exact sort of physical description of these items, you can decide on your own. I left it sort of intentionally vague, but just take note of what your things do from the Dungeon Master's Guide, and you now have those items. And you're not sure what the Bleak daggers do yet.
One quick question for you. You said a giant owl. Did you mean serpentine owl?
Yes, serpentine owl. That's
Okay,
what I
cool.
meant. Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Awesome.
So that one's pretty cool because you can, when you're using it, you can see through its eyes, which is so dope.
Yes. Good call, Matt.
Thank you. I thought you'd like that.
I do.
So Kristoff is standing there, and he's got this armor, and I think, as this sort of awesome Galadriel moment is occurring, he's just doing his thing, and so he basically just has the shirt on, and he's not wearing any pants. He's got undergarments, but he walks over and he's for him all folded up, and he goes, "Here, this is for your museum. You can have this, and thank you."
She takes it from you. I don't think we have anything from the clerisy just yet. Thank you. She kind of tucks it away to be filed away later.
And it's going to be real valuable because we're going to go save the world.
I hope that you do.
And as Kristoff sort of walks away, he just says to Sandy, he's like, "I didn't really think she was going to take it." He's kind of sad that she actually took it.
They don't smell good. I'm surprised she did too.
Right?
I kind of look around, and I'm just soaking this in. I haven't been here often, like you said, Matt. So I'm really I'm in awe every time I come in, just wide-eyed, trying to soak it in. Not sure if I'll ever see this place again.
Someday, soon, I hope, there will be a spot on these shelves for that sphere. For now, it is not safe here. It is safer with you four than it will ever be here. Well, are you all ready to sorely disappoint a psychotic elf?
Well, when you put it that way.
perhaps he won't take it too badly.
I don't think we're all truly going to be ready, but if we don't do it now, we'll just have to do it later, and he'll probably have more power if we give it to him. So, and I'm kind of holding this shield like really tight, like to a point where my hands are just, like white. I'm not even holding it by its sling. I'm holding it gripping it by its edges. If we don't, then what'll happen? There'll be folk running, and fearing from these ultra-thin elves, these powerful types. I say we'll stand and fight as much as we can until we have to. Well, we'll stand and fight. Yes, what we'll do. It's what the Provokers would do, and we're Provokers now. That's what folks been saying. So I think that's what we should do. Is we'll stand and fight. Yeah, that's it. We've got nothing else.
And now you have something to hide behind should you need it, Edric. Well then, let's go have an awkward breakfast. And she kind of shuttles everyone out of the Hall of Relics. The sentinel gate closes behind you, and the dwarven face. Should you be needing to enter again, or can I go back to sleep? You can go back to sleep. Thank you. The eyes again close. You go back up the spiral staircase, winding your way up, and soon the sounds of the tower become apparent to you. People walking back and forth, talking to each other. Kenza takes you up the stairs, down the hallway, and out into the common room, the same room where you had your feast last night. You see Iskandar seated at the table. He's drinking some tea and kind of pushing some food around a plate. He's surrounded by monks of the order. You see the strange woman that is with him with her mouth fused shut. She is standing behind him a ways, kind of leaning against a pillar, just watching, her violet eyes just scanning over the crowd. As you enter the room, Iskandar looks up and stands. Good morning. Hope everyone slept well. My companion and I will be leaving shortly. We were hoping that you would reconsider and allow us access to the Hall of Relics. Kenza hesitates and then kind of looks at the four of you and says, "You are the Relics Keeper." Do what must be done. Iskandar looks at the four of you.
And Sanders speaks up, clears his throat a little bit. I'm sorry. It is simply impossible. We have discussed it at great length. We would like to help you, but it is not possible.
There was a long, pregnant pause. Iskandar doesn't take his eyes off of you, Sander, and it's hard to read the emotion on his face. Then he just turns and looks at the woman. She nods to him, and she steps forward. She extends both of her arms, and you see silvery liquid coalescing around her hands. A vibration sets into the floor, and you feel yourself shaking as the tower begins to shudder around you. Two long blades materialize out of her gauntlets. made from some sort of liquid metal. She strides forward. As you all prepare to meet this creature in combat, Tim got me in the chat. It's a liquid metal endoskeleton. She comes forward, and you all prepare to meet her in combat, hefting your weapons, getting ready to fight her. Who is carrying the sphere right now? Who has it with them?
I think I gave it to Sander.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I think you pass it back to him. Okay, cool. So Sander, wherever it is on your person, it begins reacting. Very similar to when you were underneath Falhast, closing that rift underneath, when it was kind of vibrating and shaking around and glowing, you kind of feel it reacting in a very similar fashion. And everyone feels the daggers, these bleak daggers that you got, begin to grow warm and start to vibrate. The air is very still. You see the dust and rocks that are being displaced by the psychic energy being emanated by these creatures. You see them floating in the air, almost motionless. There is a bright flash of light. These purple clouds seem to all swirl around you out of nowhere. They're cycloning around you, and you see flashes of blood red lightning. And then everything goes white. Edric and Holly, you both come to, and you feel cold stone at your backs. It's dark. It's wet. You hear large clattering chains. You feel each other. You can sense each other near you in the darkness, but otherwise, it's pitch black.
The chains that we hear, are they the chains that are attached to us, or are they coming from a different area?
You don't feel restrained, but you can tell that they're close, maybe hanging above you or against a wall somewhere.
Holly scrambles around for a weapon. Does she have anything on her? Has it been taken?
You have all of your gear on you.
She picks up her crossbow, and you can hear the wood creaking underneath her tight grip. And she says, Edric, are you there?
Yes, Miss Ollie. I'm here.
There's something. Can you hear that?
I can. It sounds like a keyboard. No, I'm just kidding. I can. I had to.
I was
There's
not.
some IT guys down here. We got to be real extra sneaky.
We think there's internet trolls here. Does it sound like? Is it chains? Is there something down here with us?
She nods as if he could possibly see her, but she, slowly raising her crossbow, kind of shouldering it, she moves toward the sound and waits, I suppose, if it's coming closer.
You smack into a wall with the end of your crossbow. And if you feel around, you can feel that there are these massive chains hanging from the wall, just kind of slowly swaying and clattering against the stone. The links themselves are like as big as dinner plates. Like, these are massive chains. And as you're standing there, there's this weird tremor that rolls through this place, and you don't fall over, but you feel yourself kind of losing your footing a little bit, and you brace against the wall, and you hear thunder rumbling from someplace deep inside this place, just this clash of thunder.
Edric, you would hear as a torch is ignited in Holly's hand, and she hands it to you. She feels pretty comfortable down here now that she knows that there's no beasties, and those chains are just chains. But is there anything that we see after that torch is lit?
After you light the torch, you immediately get this sense of dread, like there was something there, but it sort of shies away at the light. And you sort of get this very uneasy sense that there are things in here with you, just kind of watching. You feel eyes on you.
Reminds me of a time when I had to go clear the barn full of rats. Don't like it. All them little beady eyes just staring at us.
I'm not sure there are rats, but she can't see anything. But she'll ask Edric, "Do you see a way out of here?"
And I'll kind of hold the. What I'll do is I'll take the shield and kind of sling it to my pack really quick, so I can at least have like one free hand. Or I don't know if I can hold a shield and a torch in one hand and hold my poleaxe in the other. I don't know if that's a thing that can happen.
Sure, that works. Yeah, because you're not like actively using the shield. You're just kind of wanting to have it, so you have it handy. So
yeah.
Yeah,
so then I'll hold it. I'll hold up and just kind of like lean out. Like I won't try and. I'm not going to take a step, but I'm just going to lean my body out and kind of just look around to see what the light can pick up.
Yeah, so you see that you are in sort of this strange stone room. It doesn't appear to be man-made necessarily, but it's definitely not natural, if that makes any sort of sense. Like the stone is smooth. It doesn't look like it's mortared at all. It doesn't look like it was milled, but it's definitely not natural shapes. It's smooth, almost like it was like molded somehow. You see these chains clattering against the wall, and you also see like drawings on the wall. They're like these very crude sort of etchings. A lot of them are faded and you can't really tell. There's water kind of dripping down the wall and it sort of faded these, but you see these certain shapes sort of repeated over and over and over again. You see this shape that's just kind of a triangle with like almost like a bright light or like a sun at its tip. And you see a sword being drawn over and over again. You also see that there doesn't seem to be any like doors or hallways, but it does look like this room that you're in continues in one direction outside of your torchlight.
I'll point to the drawings. What do you suppose that means? You think it was from someone here before us, Miss Holly?
Holly will go up to examine it and see if she can, I don't know, deduce anything else from it. While she attempts to, she starts answering your question, Edric, but she's very slow and paced because she doesn't know the answer, but she wants to.
So you're looking at these drawings. The sword itself has a very distinct shape, and I'd like you both to give me a history check. Yeah.
Edric, now's your time. Shine, man.
You'll never guess what I just rolled. Hang on a second here. Like whoop. All the things. All the times. It's like, hey, you remember that time you really wanted to roll a nat 20 in combat, but you rolled it in history instead? Yeah, okay, sure, why not?
I was gonna say.
So
Edric, you hear Holly start to say something that's just wrong. Like, the sword is, it's resembled of one of the great blades of Ostras, and she just goes on and on. And I think you kind of maybe wait for her to finish or interrupt her. It's your choice. But she kind of makes a fool out of herself at the beginning.
And Edric, I imagine that you've studied the stories of the Provokers and seen enough depictions in art and statuary that you know exactly what this sword is. This is the god sword before it was destroyed. It has a very distinct shape to it where it's sort of narrow closer to the guard, and then it sort of widens at the tip of the blade. This was the blade that the Corruptor wielded, and somebody is drawing it again and again and again on this wall. And with that nat 20, I'll actually say that you've heard this story enough times that you sort of put two and two together and say, well, if that's the god sword, then this triangle must be the pyramid that they fought him on. You're muted, buddy. He's like, damn it, that was the best role playing I ever did.
Yeah, I mean, you just missed 1.5 seconds of the best. But anyway, so I begin to like retell the story, and then they fought on the pyramid, and I think that's what this triangle is supposed to be. And this is the god sword that the evil corruptor, that big evil monster type feller, well, he had that, and then they fought, and then Durgan Blood Mountain, well, he leapt in using his great powerful stubby dwarven legs, and he screamed out for Tritherion, and he smashed the corruptor, and it was the most amazing thing. And as I'm retelling the story, the words are getting faster and louder, and it's like, and then there was clashing and all sorts of bashing and boom, and then I guess like that one boom, you could just hear boom, 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 boom. Probably at the end would be like, stop echoing, you bastard.
And actually, when you do that, when you say boom and it sort of echoes, the room shudders a little bit. And there's kind of this groan. And you kind of feel yourself like tilting, kind of leaning forward a little bit. And then everything kind of rights itself.
Holly's seen a lot of, just a lot, as part of the Falhast Guard. She's seen a lot under the gold and crimson banners. And she tries to kind of lean against the wall and get a gauge for the surroundings. She's beginning to think that they're not in any normal room, that this might not even be a room, or of, obviously of normalcy. So she begins following Edric, I imagine. She motions Edric towards the direction of the where the room leads, but she is curiously looking around for any shifting stones or any that groaning, if it's coming from the walls or something inside the room. She's being very perceptive about things like that.
Yeah, go ahead and give me either a perception or investigation.
Okay,
whichever is higher for you.
Oh, okay. I'll go with the perception. Let's just try that. She gauges the room around her, and I'll put it in the chat.
Nice. So you kind of move to the wall, and you're kind of pressing against the walls, trying to get a sense for this, and a weird thing happens. So you're standing on the floor, you're pushing against a wall. All of a sudden, your sort of like equilibrium shifts completely, and you realize that you are pushing on the floor, and you realize that you can kind of step onto the wall like it's the floor, and you're not sure how. You have no idea how, but you can sort of move, and if you keep walking up, you're all of a sudden, the floor that you were just standing on is now a wall.
And Holly will say to Edric, as he's maybe looking at the sword or looking in the other direction, I think I've found something.
And as you look at her when she says this, you see that she's standing completely upright on the wall, like she's just straight sideways.
And immediately, Holly would see a look I give her, as if I had gotten into my parents' cider reserves again, like from the last harvest festival. Like, what? Am I actually seeing this, Miss Holly? Are you all right?
What, you can't do this? You can't do this? And she actually keeps walking up. She tries to get onto the ceiling.
Are you some kind of a magicier?
She doesn't answer. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
As you're walking up, you're trying to get to the ceiling, so you kind of keep walking, and you see the ceiling appear above you as you walk. And as you do so, you see that there is somebody on the ceiling. They're sitting on the ceiling, and you see that they're hunched over, and they appear to be drawing something. We're going to cut really quick to Sander and Kristoff. You both wake, and it's blinding white. And as your eyes adjust, you realize that it's the sun. And the sun is just kind of beating down on you. It's a beautiful day. The sky is blue. There's a few clouds kind of just floating listlessly. And you're both laying in thick, fragrant, slightly moist grass, just kind of laying on this carpet of green out in the middle of nature. If you look around, you see that you're both there laying next to each other.
Sander kind of bolts upright, leans on his quarterstaff. Do I have my quarterstaff, Matt? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you guys have all your equipment.
and just kind of pushes himself up to a knee. What happened? And I kind of tap Kristoff. What happened?
Do we win? Oh, it's bright. Sandy, where are we?
There was no fight to win. Or we lost very quickly.
The sphere. The sphere. Do you have the sphere?
I immediately turn around and go into my pack. I had wrapped it in like a bed linen kind of, along with some other of my belongings. Is it there, Matt?
It is. And in fact, if you unwrap it to look at it, you see that it is glowing. Like the runes on it are glowing this very vibrant sort of purpley red color.
It's here. It's safe. But where are we?
And Matt, as our eyes adjust, what can we see around us,
As your eyes adjust and you're kind of looking around, you see that I said in the chat that I just skipped to heaven because everyone was going to die anyway. So this is just after the TPK. I figured
Edric and I are in hell.
Yeah, you guys are in hell.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You guys didn't quite qualify for hell. You guys are in heck. You're just in heck right now.
You're in
And the third layer,
which is
with all the people who cheat on their taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
like Purgatory Junior. It's just heck.
Purgatory Junior.
You see
that guy writing on the ceiling is Matt.
Yeah, it's me.
He's going to put himself in his own game.
I'm prepping the next session. Yeah. You guys see that you're sort of on this hillock, sort of overlooking wetlands. There's green and little copses of trees all over the place, and you see that there's rivers and swamps just everywhere. And you're kind of looking, and you see like these herds of creatures kind of milling about. And they look like bears kind of, but they're really long and flat. They almost look like gigantic otters, and they're kind of milling around in these herds, swimming down the rivers, hanging out in the wetlands and stuff. And as you're kind of looking at this and taking it all in, you hear this rhythmic sort of and if you turn around, you see that there is a cottage behind you. It is a small, simple cottage, maybe 2-3 stories, narrow, tucked between a bunch of rivers and these swamplands. There's a couple of river bears grazing outside of this cottage. You see that there's a man standing outside this cottage, and he's chopping wood. Just puts up a block of wood, chops it, knocks the pieces aside, brings up a new one, just over and over again, rhythmically.
So yeah, I mean, I would approach, and I would try to give a little warning. I don't want to catch him off guard or whatever. So approach and say, Hail there! Once I think we're close enough to be heard.
The man stops his chopping. He just puts the axe into the block and turns, mopping sweat from his brow. You see that he is older, graying at the temples. His face is a little weathered. He kind of eyes you a little bit curiously and then sort of returns the wave. Looks back to the cottage, looks back to you two. And you see that there's smoke coming out of the chimney of this cottage, and it smells very fragrant. It smells like someone's cooking food inside. He wipes his hands and comes up to the sort of the edge of his fenced-in little cottage area and says, "Hey there. Can I help you gentlemen with something?"
Kristoff would look at Sander like, do this.
Sander, there's something very, very familiar about this guy, particularly his eyes. You can't quite figure out why, but it feels like deja vu seeing this guy and hearing his voice.
I guess I would say we seem to have gotten a bit lost here. Where is this place?
This is Talmor, and this is my home. How did you two wind up here without mounts? Traipsing about the swamp without a river bear, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, yes, of course we know it was Talmor. I mean, I meant what part of Talmor, but anyway. River bears. Yeah, that would be nice. I kind of look at Kristoff.
Yeah, we were looking for the we were looking for the nearest market, and we gotta I gotta get some so I gotta get some bread.
Well, you're a few days from Greymas, which is the nearest market. I'm sure that my wife wouldn't mind feeding you two. Dinner's a ways off, but if you want bread, you shouldn't have to walk a few days to get it.
And Kristoff like hit Sander. I told you it was the other direction. We were man, this guy got us all turned around. We've been walking, but
right. At one second, and he kind of goes to the edge of the fence and calls out, "Holly, that's too far. That's about as far as you can go." And if you look out, you see that there's a young girl sort of riding on a river bear out in the grassy area beyond this cottage. That's good. Stay right there. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying we could the dinner would be lovely, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And we are happy to, and I kind of point to the wood he's been chopping, work for our meal.
Yeah, he's happy. He's good at chopping wood. He's really good.
You know, I might actually take you up on that. He kind of lowers himself onto a stump in the yard, begins wiping his hands off, and sort of like mopping the sweat from the back of his neck. So you two, what, just walked into Talmor for bread? What are you doing out here?
I think Sander and Kristoff would just be looking at each other so stupidly and suspiciously, but like confused. Like what do you tell this guy? No, I think we were teleported into the past by a relic that you don't know exists. Like,
as you're sort of like looking at each other, contemplating what to say, there's a weird tremor. And this man kind of braces himself against the stump, and you hear this thunder, but there's no storm on the horizon, but you definitely hear this kind of rolling thunder in the distance.
We're from, and we honestly, we don't know our way around here, and we just have been wandering. We were looking for a place. I said we're looking for bread, but really we're looking for food and shelter, and we're not really from this part. I'm actually from the Raven Storm Highlands.
And I am from Sonnegeist. Sander Dinara at your service. And while he's been talking, I took up the axe actually, and I found a big block of wood to stand on so that I can reach the block of wood for chopping.
Sonnegeist. That's... Yeah. Well, you're a long way from home. Another tremor. You two are from outside of this. You're not part of this. How did you get in here?
To this swamp? And Kristoff sort of looking at him like, you have to say it. I'm not going to be the one that says we're in a magic ball.
The man looks out across the plain where his daughter is riding a river bear. No, I mean, this isn't real. I know it's not real. But you two are real. You're not part of this. He stands up. What are you doing here?
We did not have a choice in the matter. We simply woke up here.
I know you. I recognize your face. I've seen you before. I've seen you before in here.
You look familiar as well. What is your name?
Aaron Ellington.
I think Sander, that name would probably ring a bell to Sander. And I think it slowly dawns on him who this is. That this is one of the Provokers. Yeah.
And as that look of realization, I think Kristoff would notice the look of realization on Sander's face. And he would turn to him and he'd go,
Wait, are we inside the sphere?
totally not registering the actual situation.
Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, we don't know that Holly is the daughter of Dice
You
or
don't.
stepdaughter, do we?
Nope,
Okay.
you do not.
Holly has not revealed that. So I wouldn't, I would maybe think that's perhaps coincidence. I guess I look around. Is she in eyesight?
Yeah, if you look, you can see that there is a little girl sort of riding her river bear out on the plains.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm guessing there's a glimpse of familiarity. The name, just catching a glimpse of her face. Smile, maybe.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of, she's not super far away, but if you kind of look too closely at her, it's kind of hazy. Like you can't really see her face perfectly. I can't remember exactly what she looked like.
So we can only see what you can remember. We are in your dream.
Yeah, well, when you're in here as long as I have been, you sort of figure out how it works. So yeah, I guess, well, this is new. No one's ever come in here before. And I don't remember you, either of you. So then you're real. You're from outside of this.
Yes. Yes, we're real. Okay. Where is this? What are you talking? Why are we in your head? Is this some kind of magic by the elf woman?
Shut up for a second.
This guy's real nice.
You're in the Bleak. You're inside of it.
No, we're not. Look around you. Look around you. The Bleak it's red, raging storms, fire, arcane hell.
This
This
is how the Bleak manifests when it's ruptured. It's pure magic, and it can be molded like magic. Now, time in here doesn't work like it does back in the material plane. I'm not sure how long I've been in here, but long enough to figure out how to do this. And it's preferable to what was happening before. There are other things in here. There are old things, ancient things that want to get out. I used to be a guest of one of them. She underestimated me. I spent 20 years, well, back in the real world, figuring out the Bleak, figuring out how it works. So I was able to do this. It's kind of a sanctuary, a place where she can't get in here, at least not yet. But having you two come in here makes me think that maybe she can. So excuse me if I'm not overjoyed with guests.
I'm not too stoked either. No offense to you. I don't want to be here.
No offense taken. How did you... The only way I know of getting here is through one of the whispering doors. Did you go through a whispering door?
There was someone. It looked like she was casting a spell, but it was like this metallic. I don't know.
Liquid metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purple eyes, mouth sewn shut.
Yes.
Yeah, she sent me here too. She's a real piece of work. He kind of stands up and grabs the axe again and starts chopping wood. She's the reason I'm here too.
Wait, you said you were here for 20 years.
No. I've lost count of how many years I've been in here. See, I haven't aged. In fact, I can kind of just look however I want.
And that's what you picked?
He kind of leans against the axe. If you saw what I really looked like, you wouldn't say that.
And Kristoff like looks down at his like pecs and biceps and tries to make them grow a little, and they don't. It's just like, ugh.
So you were with the elf, but you didn't go through a whispering door.
No.
I don't think so. Unless she cast a door on us.
Yeah, or if whatever she did knocked us unconscious and she threw us through this door.
No, she can't do it, but it is odd that she was present when I went in and when you two went in. I think I activated the door myself. Listen, I'm not sure what to do here. I was kind of expecting to just be here forever. And that was okay. I conjured up the best day. The best day I can remember. It's before my wife leaves. It's before Holly's grown. The details are fuzzy, but I remember the weather. I remember the smell. My wife's cooking, the crispness of the air. It rained yesterday. I remember that. So that's what this is. That's what I made. I don't know if there's a way out of here. I should make that clear. I tried for a couple hundred years.
That's so long.
After a while, time doesn't really mean anything anymore.
I don't know if I was ready for this.
He kind of laughs. No, I wasn't ready for it either. But of all the places you two could have ended up, this is probably the best place. Now, you mentioned you were with others. Anyone else go through?
No, I'm surprised it's just the two of us. There were a number of others, but we woke up just us two.
What about... Have you tried thinking about the door?
Yeah. I've actually seen it a few times, but I'm not sure how to turn it on from this end. From this side, it seems to be locked from this side.
Yeah. No, but listen. Okay, here's the thing, man. So, first of all, I don't know when the last time you tried was, but I mean, you're pretty good at this. I mean, whatever you're fake cooking in there smells delicious. And I can't see Holly from here, but she doesn't look like her face is a blob like most dreams. So I can smell the rain from yesterday. You bring the door, and we have a key. And Kristoff sort of puts his hand and like kind of snaps, but he's in the total wrong direction for where Sander's standing. He's trying to like dramatically like, oh, Sandy, the thing. We have something. You can conjure the door. We can get the key.
It's true. I'm
I
confident.
can't let you open the door.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
The gate must stay shut. We cannot open that door. There are things on this side of the door that you can't even fathom. Listen, you appeared in my dream, my one perfect day. Holly riding a river bear, Meredith cooking the roast, me chopping wood. That's the perfect day. But outside of this, it is chaos and screaming and gods that were locked away by other gods. You can't even begin to understand the things that I have seen in here. I cannot let you open that door because other stuff might come through. Do you understand?
Yeah. Just for us to be a part of your perfect day for a long time. What's for dinner?
We don't actually eat dinner.
Oh, come on.
I'm trying to make dinner work, but it hasn't worked yet. It takes a long time to make all of this.
Listen, yeah.
Listen, I need to think. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about this. So just listen, it's not going anywhere. You've been in here, what, 30 minutes? The way I figured it out, a few seconds has gone by in the material plane. You're not missing anything. Just sit tight for a bit and let me think about this. We're going to cut back to Edric and Holly. Holly, you're climbing up to the ceiling and you see this figure drawing on the ceiling.
And the figure would feel her crossbow kind of aimed upon it. And the words that would come out of Holly's mouth would be, "Why did they leave us with our weapons? Who are you, and why did they leave us with our weapons?"
This figure is kind of draped in rags. You see that their hair is maybe used to be blonde, but it's like long and lank and sort of graying. The figure is drawing another pyramid. The door must be opened. The door must be opened. The door must be opened.
She gives a side glance to Edric, raises an eyebrow.
Of course, it would probably be a side glance down, and as I know, as Edric would kind of be looking up towards the ceiling, just still unsure of how to process the fact that, you know, you've just basically, you know, recreated a Lionel Richie song right in front of his eyes. So he's just like really confused. So, you know, Edric kind of goes over and I'll place a hand on the wall and then try to see if I can pull myself up in the same vein that Holly did.
It works, like easier than you were anticipating.
And then just climbing onto it and, you know, just kind of inching myself along, trying to hold the torch, you know, I'd stand up and just begin to walk. As now, I guess the sense of equilibrium is I'm still walking on the floor. even though I was just walking on the wall, which was the floor, which is now the wall that I'm walking on now, which is now the floor that I'm walking. Did you get all that, folks? Don't worry. There's going to be a program at the end of the show. So, I'll walk up to Holly and then again do the same process, which I won't repeat because I can only do that once, and then walk over. Who are you? And you best be careful. We're and I'm kind of looking for the words. We're dangerous folk. You don't want to try nothing funny, cause Miss Holly here, she's dangerous. She got a crossbow. She knows how to use it. She could probably shave someone from like 2 days away. That's how good of a crossbow person she is. And I can cut stone with this, so you best be careful. And that's it. And I just kind of stand there.
The figure continues drawing, continues murmuring to himself, "The door must be open, the door." Then he stops. He turns and you see that it's this gaunt, frail creature, almost ghoul-like. His nails are long and curled, and he drops the chalk on the ground. And as he drops it, it falls the other way, falling down towards the ceiling. And he tries to grab it. Oh, no. He looks at you two. "You have it. You have it." He starts crawling towards you. "The god's sword, I feel it. You have it."
Holly cocks her crossbow. I think that's close enough.
He stops up short. "I feel you have it. The blade that can open the way. I know its power. I know it."
I don't have no sword. We've got a pollux here, and I've got a shield, which I'm still not afraid to use. And she's got a crossbow, and I've got a crossbow too, but I'm not quite as good at it. My name is Edric Meadows. What's your name?
I can't recall. I lost it.
Holly's looking at Edric like he's some sort of idiot, and she looks back at the figure and says, kind of while side glancing at Edric, "My name is Nancy Paragon." Tell someone your name.
I thought you told me your name was, and I'm sure that Holly would put a hand up to his mouth right away. And what the hell? Right, fine.
Exactly.
Names aren't important. He jabs at the chalk drawing of the sword. "This. I need this."
Well, you need another piece of chalk. I can go down and get it for you if you'd like. But
No, I need the sword. He crawls a little closer across the ceiling. "I need the sword, and you have it. I feel it for the first time."
The sword has been destroyed. You're wrong.
No.
Sure, the Provokers destroyed it. There was a big fight in the pyramid. And
Do not say that name to me.
What
Do
pyramid?
not ever utter that word here.
Pyramid?
No.
Oh.
Provokers.
Well, you just said it, so it can't be all that bad. I mean, really.
Edric, who is this person? I imagine that, Holly, it occurs to her that Edric knows everything there is to know about the Provokers. And if somebody has been burned so badly by them where they don't even like to hear the word Provokers, maybe Edric might have a lead on that too.
Well, I mean,
They threw. There was a. They threw a hammer. That was the last thing I remember. No, the sword. I know you have it. I feel it. Give it to me.
He starts crawling closer. He's reaching out towards you.
wait a minute. I know who you are. And I'll kind of hold on to the shield, and I'll kind of rest my poleaxe on top, like just on the corner, and just ready to kind of give a quick jab with the spike on the end. You're the corruptor, aren't you? You didn't die. You just got shot into the Bleak. And I'll kind of get ready, kind of hunker down and get into a fighting stance.
Corruptor. Yes, that is what they called me. I had a different name. I cannot recall that one either. I know I am not whole. This is only a piece of me. I must get out and reclaim what is mine. Reclaim what I was promised. I need the sword now.
The words, "the gate must stay shut," reverberate through Holly's mind. She doesn't know too much about the Provokers, but anyone who's anyone knows who the Corruptor is. The Corruptor's the one who killed her father, her dad. She doesn't know how, she doesn't know why. That's all she knew. And all of a sudden she feels this pang of rage inside of her chest, and it rises up through her throat, and she tries to speak it out with some sort of poetic verse, but what comes out is a cough. And she pulls the blade out of her satchel, or out of her, maybe a side little holster or sheath, and she pulls it out, but not to give. No doors will be opened today in her mind. She actually swipes with the blade out front to keep this creature at some sort of arm's length distance.
As you do so, he is so desperate to grab it that he reaches out and you hew right through his arm. There's this bright flash of purple as you do so. The blade seems to glow for a moment as you slice through this creature, and you see his hand just kind of dissipate into a flame. Ah!
My hand.
Where'd that go?
I need that.
She reaches up with her foot and she tries to shove him over with her foot.
You do so, and he kind of topples against the ceiling.
Oh,
He's just cradling his stump of an arm.
please. I need it. I have to get out. Please.
She looks to Edric, looks to the Corruptor. What do you think, Captain?
You're a villain, Mr. Corruptor, and I'm glad that I almost spit out the words, Provokers beat you, because you're a monster, and you can stay right here, but you're gonna tell us how to get out.
I don't know. I don't know how to get out, but I need the blade. I need the blade to get out. You must give it to me.
Here, I'll give it to you. and Holly goes to jam the blade into the side of the corruptor's head.
You do so. It goes through like he's not really there. You swipe through, and again, there's this flash of purple, and he just kind of dissipates. Like he's not physically there. Just...
Hedrick, we have to get out of this place. We have to find our friends. She's looking around kind of through the dust, through the dissipation, and the corruptor, it seems like he's completely gone, vanished.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye out.
Let's move down the room let's move down from where we saw them drawings and stuffs, and maybe there's a way out there. And I'll
She nods.
Start walking with purpose, like not running, just in case, because traps and whatnot. But I'll start running or start moving with purpose, holding the torch aloft.
You move across the ceiling of this room, and you walk for what seems like a long time, the walls and ceiling and floor just falling away behind you. And every square inch of this place is covered in these drawings. Like, just, they do not stop. The corruptor, this fragment of the corruptor, has been in here just drawing this pyramid and this sword for who knows how long. After 20, 30 minutes of walking, you finally break into a different room. And you see this sort of circular room with this white hot flame burning in a giant brazier at the center of the room. The room itself is like swelteringly hot, and the air itself is like shimmering with heat. This flame is just, it's like nothing you've ever felt before. You imagine this is what dragon fire must feel like coming out of this brazier. And as you enter the room, you sort of, you're walking along the ceiling, so the brazier's sort of on the floor. You walk in, and you hear footsteps approaching. What would you like to do?
Are they coming from like where we had just walked from, or are they coming from like another entrance?
They seem to be coming opposite from where you are. Basically, this giant circular room has two hallways coming out of it. You're coming down one. They seem to be coming, these footsteps seem to be coming from the others.
Right. I'll look at Holly, kind of point to one side of the brazier, and I'll point to the other side of the brazier, and then point to myself. And then I'll walk to that side, and again I'll stand there, kind of bracing the poleaxe against my foot with the shield, getting ready just for whatever comes at us.
Holly kind of lines up on the opposite side of Edric, but kind of creating a front line for them just in case. And she sheathes her dagger, but keeps it a little out because she now understands the power of this amazing blade, and feels like maybe it might be more useful than the crossbow. But no, she takes aim at the opposite side of the room and waits.
As you two take up positions, you see a column of figures sort of approaching, marching. And you see that it's probably close to a dozen dragonborn, heavily armored, wielding spears and shields. And they're marching in rank and file down this hallway. They sort of enter the brazier room and begin moving in your direction. We're going to cut to Sander and Kristoff. You two have been sitting in Aaron Ellington's front yard for a while now, and you see him, and he's kind of like off in the grass, just kind of pacing back and forth, and you see that he's just kind of gesticulating and talking to himself. You two have a few moments that you're able to talk amongst yourselves. As Aaron Ellington is kind of walking and talking to himself, you see that like the world is getting a little bit hazier, and you're kind of noticing things that you hadn't picked up on before. The fact that like the sun isn't moving at all, it's just stuck in one place, and like nothing ever happens differently. Holly like does the same sort of movement through the planes and stuff. Like you start of, it's like that moment in a dream when you realize it's a dream and you're like, oh, this shit is weird. Like you're kind of picking up on the little things that sort of indicate that it's not actually real as you're sitting there. And again, these sort of tremors keep happening, and you keep hearing this thunder rolling in the distance, even though there's no storm on the horizon.
So what are we going to do, Kristoff, if he doesn't produce a gate? We wander around until we find one?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm chivalrous and I'm selfish. I know this. You know this. So I'm about to say something that will probably surprise you. We'll look. But if we don't find anything, I guess it's better that this sphere stays in here. I mean, I'm no Aaron Ellington, but I'm sure between you and I both, we could probably drum up some sort of perfect day for ourselves. I mean, if we have to.
I suppose so. Be nice if you could get that dinner thing figured out.
Yeah. You know, I like to eat. I bet I'll figure it out before he does.
It's fair.
It's the texture. He's walking back up. The taste I can get, but the texture's off. I'm working on it. Maybe another century and I'll figure it out. He lowers himself into a stump. I will take you to the door.
But
There's no but. I'll take you to the door.
okay. Right, Sandy? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We will only leave it open just as long as necessary.
Yeah, no, I understand. So we're going to have to leave here. That thunder, you hear that thunder in the distance? Something's happening. I think your friends are in here too.
Could be. Should we look? I mean,
We can look. Absolutely. I'm not sure how to find them. I don't know these people, but we can look. When we leave here, you're going to see some things that might shake your perception of reality, and I need you to understand that. Sort of laws that you're used to, the way magic and light, sound, gravity work. It's all different in here. It's unhinged, malleable, which is what allows me to do things like this, but at the same time, I can't control what isn't mine to control. Your friends are in a different creation. Somebody else made what they're inside of. So my powers will be limited there. We'll have to move quickly. We'll have to move quietly. And hope we don't run into a dragon.
that would be interesting.
Like, figuratively?
He stands up and takes the axe and kind of puts it over his shoulder and you see him kind of turn, and he puts his hand up to his face, and he kind of turns to you, and you see your own face reflected in this sort of copper shield over his face. He shakes his face and says, "Not figurative, very literal. Come on, follow me."
Sweet Hrondor.
He kind of calls over his shoulder. "Meredith, keep the roast warm. I'll be back before dark." He sort of hops over the fence. "Come on, let's go. I know I told you that time didn't really matter, but now it kind of does."
Agreed. And Matt, if you're cool with this, I was just gonna kind of mention something to Dice, and you can retcon this or just say like, nah. Like that's totally fine. But yeah, I think Kristoff would sort of have this moment where he would kind of click and he'd go, I think I get it. This is a cheerless. What we're in, this is something my dad used to talk about. We come from a long line of druids, and we understand what the Bleak isn't. The Bleak isn't order, right? It's not measured, but neither is the tide. Neither is storms that would pass across the highlands. And my parents were looked strangely upon for their parts of the Bleak. And this is what my dad used to call a cheerless. So it's like what you said, it's in the middle of these raging fires of arcane hell. Through it, there are these pockets. And you've done it. You know, my dad always believed in this sort of thing, these places you could create. But, you know, you'd have to be really strong. And not just strong with magic, but strong here. That was the thing. That was the thing he said would always... You got to be strong here, and it's not all good. But if you believe something... And he did. But if you believe something strong enough, good or bad, this is what can happen in here. And I got this bad feeling that where we're going, whoever made it, whatever they did, whatever they believe, it's not so good.
This man is just looking at you the entire time, and you can't see his face. It's behind this shiny mask. But when you're done, he just kind of nods. When I first started doing magic, I was preserving rations for the army. But I saw a lot of shit over a very short amount of time with some very good friends of mine. And after all that shit was done, there was 20 years of figuring this out. Mostly it's time. But, you know, I had a friend a long time ago. Well, 20 years ago, but also a few centuries ago. His name was Durgan, and he taught me how to trust in myself and trust in my own strength. And I held on to that in here. So whatever you have in there, whatever's in your heart, whatever keeps you from just throwing down your weapons and saying, I'm done, I'm going home. Whatever that is, hold tight to it right now. Because we're going somewhere where it matters more than anything. Do you have it? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I know.
Yes. I've got it.
Kristoff clutches his brother's ring, sort of grips it in a fist tightly.
Iskandar looks at his staff carvings.
And Aaron looks back at the cottage and sort of his eyes land on that little girl riding the river bear. Yeah, got it. And he walks out into the marshes. All right. We cut back to Holly and Edric. You are seeing... So are you guys still on the ceiling, or did you go down to the floor?
I
Edric?
believe we're still on the ceiling.
Cool.
Because we I don't know, I remember we just stayed on the ceiling walking all the way towards this circular room.
That's what I assumed, but I wanted to make sure. So you guys are on the ceiling and you see this just platoon of Dragonborn just marching beneath you. The only Dragonborn you have ever seen is Keenra, and he's like a pretty slight, like frail Dragonborn. These guys are 7 feet tall, wearing heavy plate armor with just like well-made weapons and shields, and they're marching in perfect unison towards the area where you just were. I'd like you to both give me a stealth check, if you would, please.
Oh dear.
Mike's like, not again.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Edric's like a big tea kettle with bells on it.
He is.
So I know I got to roll with disadvantage. I rolled 2d20, and dice gods are with me because I rolled a 17 and a 16.
Very nice. Very nice.
However, no, because I remember, because I always play stealthy people, because stealth. So I'm guessing like it's only disadvantage when you have heavy armor, right?
I believe so. Yeah, only the armor that says you have disadvantage gives you disadvantage.
Yeah. All right. Well, chainmail is definitely disadvantage. I mean,
Yeah, I believe it is. I'm going to double check just to make sure, but I'm almost positive that chainmail gives you disadvantage on stealth.
Well, it's like basically you're basically just
Yeah, because do you have chainmail or a chain shirt?
Chainmail.
Then yeah, disadvantage.
Yeah.
Hella.
So yeah, I rolled a 17 and a 16, and my stealth actually get +2, so it'd be 18 in total, which is redonk.
Yeah, so you two actually managed to sort of conceal yourselves on the ceiling, and it might be the fact that the white hot fire that is in the middle of this room is kind of, it's making the air all hazy, and it's hard to kind of look up and see what's on the ceiling. But you two managed to you're staying motionless, ready to fight, but this group of Dragonborn just march past you.
Edric pees a little. Just a little.
Just a squirt.
Just a drop
Holly
or two.
will be counting them
Counting the Dragonborn?
as much as possible, given the scenery and the environment.
Yeah, there's 14 of them total.
Okay. All right.
They pass by and march with haste into the room where you just left, with the carvings on the wall.
After a long moment, as their footsteps begin reverberating down the hallway, I look to Edric and I say, "We should go." And I kind of motion towards where they came from. As soon as they find that their commander is dead, I imagine, we should go.
And I'll slowly begin to kind of walk, sounding something like one of those like dancers in at the Rio Carnival, like with tons of sequins and everything. Just pss, pss, pss. Like I'm a slowly leaking tire with every step. Pss, pss, pss. Right? Yeah, I think we should go. Pss, pss, pss. As I keep walking into the slowly making my way into the corridor.
You continue on into the corridor, walking along the ceiling as you do, and this structure that you're in sort of opens up around you. You see lots of different hallways and staircases and rooms sort of branching off from this one. All of them, it's like an MC Escher painting. Like there's staircases like leading up across the ceiling. Like this place doesn't have an up or a down. It's just whatever goes. Gravity does not seem to obey any sort of law here. It's unclear where exactly you should be going, and a couple of times while you're traveling, you have to duck into an alcove or whatever as more Dragonborn come by. A couple of times, there are drakes that sort of prowl by, sniffing and looking for intruders. You get the sense that whoever is in charge of this thing, whoever owns this sort of stronghold that you're in, they're aware that there's people here that they should be looking for. You get that sense that it's sort of like a high alert type situation. At a certain point, you find yourselves in a massive, massive room. You cannot see the end of it. The end of it disappears into fog. And the floor, the walls, the ceiling are all covered in eggs. Just thousands upon thousands of eggs. And you see kobolds sort of prowling through these eggs, and whenever they start cracking open, the kobolds are sort of helping them break open, and you see draconic creatures being born out of these eggs. There is an army being built here, and this is where it starts.
Sorry. Upon this realization, Holly stammers for words, looks to Edric, looks in her bag, looks for an exit, stays hidden, grasps her crossbow, but they're in the belly of the beast right now. What is this place? Is what she whispers to Edric.
I don't know. It's like it's almost like some sort of a giant coop or something. Like you want to see some great big chickens or laying all them eggs.
I don't think we have enough torches.
No, I don't think we do. But I don't think we want to light very many torches in case whatever all these things are wake up and come after us.
I agree.
I was just thinking of something. You remember when we... Yeah, no, it is. You remember when we went and spoke to the corruptor right before you stabbed him in the head? Well, you noticed
yes,
that...
I remember it.
Right, yeah, and that was good. It was a good hit because it was right. It was quite clean.
I thought so too. Thank you.
No problem. I just figured that in a dire situation that we're in now would be a very good time to compliment each other and make ourselves feel good. Because I'm not going to lie, I peed my armor just a little bit. I might do it more if more of these things come. But anyway, You notice that he was all in tatters and rags and stuff. Like I don't think he was a leader. Maybe this thing is bigger than the corruptor. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I've never been accused of being no smart folk, but if he was in rags and he was just sitting there with chalk, drawing and stuff, that doesn't seem like someone who would be a powerful leader. He's just seems like maybe he went a little bit, crazy.
Whatever he is, this is bigger. She looks around the room. How many, like, it's a lot of eggs and a lot of egg sacs and whatnot. Do we get a gauge of how many kobolds are in here? Or just dozens, just a bunch of them, or a few?
Yeah, it's hard to see how many just because the room is so big, but in your immediate area, there's like at least a dozen, just kind of milling around, like seeing to the eggs, making sure that they're taken care of.
Holly looks to Edric and then looks to these kobolds, and she pulls out her dagger and she whispers to him, "Can you be a little more quiet now? Because I think we can take these guys."
As you say that, there's this kind of thunderclap, and you see this, for lack of a better word, hole open up in the middle of the air on the floor below you. 3 figures step out of it. The first one is a tall man with an axe over one shoulder and his face covered in this coppery-looking mask. The other 2 figures you immediately recognize as they step out. The masked man gives one quick glance and goes, "This is not where I meant to take us." Let's go ahead and take a quick break before we get into some combat here.
This is not where I meant to take us.
There's not going to be combat. We're going to talk our way out of this.
You're going to talk your way out of this? Okay, we'll see. We're going to take this opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves as if you don't know who they are and talk a little bit about their characters, and then we'll take a quick 5-minute break. So we'll go from my left to right and start with Barker.
Hi, everybody. My name is Barker from Be a Better Game Master and Absolute Tabletop, and I am playing Holly. She is a fighter. Her fighting style is archery. She loves crossbow, and this is really an awesome session. This is a cool blast from the past. Cool to see old characters brought up, and really cool to stab the corruptor in the head. So thanks for running the game, Matt. Really fun.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for stabbing the corruptor in the head. That was great. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike from the channel Mike the Piper, and I'm playing Edric Meadows, who's just a big old softy kid who's in way over his head. He really does like the poleaxe, which is basically the Swiss Army knife of medieval weapons, because, why not? Yeah, I am having such a blast playing this because this is just amazing. It's one of the it's just blah. That's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. All right, Nate.
Yep, my name is Nate. I run the YouTube channel WASD20, and I am playing Sander Denara, a halfling monk from the Order of the Unscorched in Sonnegeist, and having a great time. Sander's not, but I am.
That's the dream. All right, Tim.
I'm Tim. I'm half of the channel Tabletop Terrors. I'm also part of Absolute Tabletop, and I'm playing Kristoff Stormraven. This is just the most fun. I love playing in this game. Thank you all for watching and just hanging out with us. So I'm really, really excited to see what happens this next half, because this first half, payoff after payoff after payoff. So great job, Matt.
Thank you, man. And thank you, everyone, for watching and for being active in the chat. And we're just going to take a quick break here, and then we'll be right back to continue the session. Yep. Josh just reminded me in the chat. Barker, do you want to talk really briefly about something cool that's happening on absolutetabletop.com that people should go check out while we're on break?
Sure. Actually, I will. Over at absolutetabletop.com, we decided to surprise everybody with a supplement before the end of the year. It's coming out December 15th, and it's called Be a Better Weapon Master 2. And it's the second, obviously, of the Be a Better Weapon Master line, but it is the first of what you can expect from Be a Better Game Master from now on. And I am really excited. It's open for pre-orders now, and you get it for cheaper if you pre-order it instead of waiting till it comes out, just to reward the people that are always around us, the friends and the people that are always supporting us. And I am excited to show some sample pages soon, so keep your eyes peeled on the Absolute Tabletop official group. But head on over to absolutetabletop.com and pre-order Be a Better Weapon Master 2.
Do it.
You won't,
Do it right
you won't
now.
regret it. No regrets.
No regrets, baby. All right. Everyone, we'll be right back.
Was the summer of 2017. Mother was sick, and so was Charles. He had the rickets lung. And I'll never forget the way it felt when I took the last bit of our money and bought the Destiny 2 Special Edition. I don't regret it. No, sir, not one bit. Little Samuel died. He had the Scarlet Rubella. But I'm maxing out on XP, and I'm happy. So that's just a reminder. Get yourself some Destiny 2. And thanks for watching.
Hey, everybody. I'm back. And check the chat here. Everyone like my Christmas tree back there? Happy holidays, everyone. It's almost that time. I feel like I'm on top of it this year. I feel like I managed to not screw up Christmas this year, which is awesome. Yeah, like pretty much done buying gifts, which is great. My wife and I did that thing where we both know what the other person is getting for the other because we bought our presents like in front of each other at the store, but it's all good. The chat here. Very active chat tonight. You guys seem to be enjoying the session. That's great.
Except that everybody wants us to die.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Is definitely a I didn't even roll up a backup character, so there's that.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, people enjoyed the corruptor part. Very cool.
That was awesome.
I was pretty pumped about that. Like this is so dumb, but the dice part was like super inspired by that horrible Star Trek Generations movie. You guys remember Star Trek Generations where it was Kirk and Picard in the same movie, and Kirk was like pulled into that space time thing and was in there chopping wood, and Picard had to go get him. Super wet inspired.
I do remember that.
I feel like the dice thing had a little bit more emotional weight than Picard seeing Kirk, though. I'd like to think so.
Yep. Oh man.
What you looking at says, now for the real reveal. They see a vision of the future where dice becomes the corruptor. People are still on that theory, man.
Dude, we're inside the Bleak, inside a weird pyramid in the Bleak.
Yeah.
So it might, it might happen. Maybe Holly just stabbed the dad in the head.
Yeah.
Maybe she don't know that yet.
Maybe, man, maybe. Yeah, I was pretty excited about that stuff tonight, and I messaged Barker, and I was like, without giving too much away, if dice were to theoretically make an appearance in a future Bleakwrath game, would you want to play him or would you want me to play him? And Barker was like, Holly's my character now. If dice shows up, I want you to play him. I was like, okay, cool. So I hope I did him justice.
It was great,
dude.
I thought you should have portrayed him a little more handsome, a little more. That was the only thing.
A little bit more debonair.
A little more debonair.
You show up and he's got a harem.
That blurry face of Holly that got me. That was like I don't quite remember what she looked like. That was like, oh,
dude, I'm glad. I want it to hit a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it's like super sucks that Dice has basically been in here for centuries, as far as he knows. But it's also cool that like dude is powerful enough to create his own reality within the Bleak, and he's just like chilling on this like one perfect day that he remembers.
I love it. Matt, I feel like I need a refresher on who knows what, because I'm really having a hard time keeping straight. Like, so for example, Sander now knows that a man with a mask brought him to the order.
Yes, and you now saw the man that you saw in the Bleak before. Now he has this mask on, so you're like, what?
Yeah. So I now know that the man with the mask brought me to the order. I saw in a dream, and it is this man.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Let me jump on this train as well.
Yeah.
Holly would recognize Dice as the person who gave her the letter and the wooden D20 on the walls of Falhast. Only the mask is a different color. Like, so she might think that she's seen someone like him before.
It's true. Definitely.
Matt's like, we need to take another break.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, and I'm super glad that I remembered that his mask was a different color, because I actually went back and re-listened to our one-on-one session to make sure that I had everything like copacetic, and was like, oh yeah, because he used the Titan copper to make his new mask.
The copper
And
jackal.
then he has Mitsurium's staff. He has that chilling somewhere. So,
and one more thing is, I mean, we would probably know that this is Dice too, of the Provokers, from like the statue, the memorial or whatever.
yeah, because that's what he looks like in the memorial. He has the mask in the memorial. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Dice is just this famous provoker that once gave Holly a letter, basically informing her that her dad was dead. To her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Huh.
And now Dice knows that you know that. No, I'm just kidding. Someone just pointed out in the chat. So Holly is your stepsister, kinda?
Wait.
Because like Dice didn't really adopt you, but he did save you and take you to the order.
Exactly.
It's not really, but you are connected in that kind of cool way.
We are
That's
cousins.
such a cool thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a cool little connection.
He held little baby Sander and
I guess
probably
I can't.
little baby little girl Holly.
Dude, he Ben Kenobi'd it. He like showed up like little baby Sander was about to be eaten by some drakes, and he came up over the hill and went, yep, just like that. Hello there. I don't recall ever owning a baby. That's what he said.
But give this a shot.
Ever owning a baby.
Ever owning a baby.
Your father is dead. The corruptor killed him.
Nice. Now there's a name I haven't heard.
Of course I know him. He's me.
His name is
I've
me.
gone by the name Dice since before you were born. Well, no, probably before you were born.
Since like a couple of years ago in a different campaign.
20 years ago or a few centuries.
Depending on your, well, from a certain point of view. All right. So
Nice.
I think we've exhausted the Alec Guinness impressions now. We could go into like some Bridge on the River Kwai if we wanted to, but I think we'll stop it there. And get back to the game. So thank you everyone for stopping by. Again, if you have not checked it out, absolutetabletop.com, Weapon Master 2 is up for pre-order, and it's cheaper if you pre-order it, so go check it out. Okay, so when we went on break, Holly and Edric were on the ceiling of this hatchery, and a sort of portal opened up, and Dice, Kristoff, and Sander stepped out of it, and Dice said, "This isn't where I meant to take us." The kobolds immediately sort of like go on high alert, grab weapons, and take up defensive stances. I'd like for everyone to roll initiative, please.
So, Matt, I would like to take this moment to point out that you have written down my armor class, but it is 1 point higher now.
Oh, shoot. Yep, you and...
I missed my dice tower. Never done.
Shaquille O'Neal'd it, is what we
I super did.
Your AC is now 17, Kristoff.
Yes, it is. What a
And
good thing. to
Sander,
do.
your AC is different now, too, because you have the bracers of defense, right?
Yeah, it's 18.
Damn, dude. What the hell did I give you guys that stuff for?
Right?
Actually,
level 2?
Technically, with the shield, 19.
Good Lord. All right. All of the things attack Holly. She's easiest to hit.
And Strahd is there?
Yeah. Strahd shows up. And also this Beholder from Volo's Guide.
Tiamat's just hanging out, waiting
Yeah.
patiently.
Wow.
For a
These
second, I
initiative
thought you
rolls,
said
though,
Tim
kind of
and Matt.
balance everything out, don't they?
Hold on, I didn't give you my roll because I'm dumb.
Good Lord. Hey, can someone be initiative person in the chat? Ooh, awesome.
Oh, man.
Thank you. That's the best thing ever.
This.
I wish I would have done that in the first Provokers campaign.
Oh, dude, this guy.
Just been like, someone please. Okay, cool.
Good grief. I don't want to go first. Hold on.
Okay, cool. So these kobolds, so the kobolds are actually going to go first. No, they're going to go after Kristoff. So go ahead and put the kobolds between Kristoff and Sander, if you wouldn't mind there, Barker.
The New York Jets.
I missed that somehow. The New York Jets are taking up the last. They take initiative slot 0.
They're a legendary action.
Yeah. So these kobolds are they're a little bit larger than the ones that you faced beneath Falhast. These are kobolds that they're born and bred and live in the Bleak. They're bolstered by its power. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit hardier. You see that they're wearing leather armor that is reinforced with plates of steel. They also have these large shields on their forearms and these big long spears that they can attack at reach with. These kobolds are outfitted with the same like dragon fire forged steel that you saw those dragonborn wearing. So these are like very nice weapons and armor that these kobolds are wearing. They immediately lock into this sort of phalanx. They meet up with whatever kobolds are nearby, lock their shields and put their spears over the edges of the shields and begin marching forward. As they're doing this, another group of kobolds, a third one, sort of reels back and starts throwing their spears at you guys. So Kristoff, you're first up in initiative. So you've got 2 groups of kobolds marching forward with shields, a third group farther back in the room that are about to huck spears. At this point, you probably haven't noticed that Edric and Holly are on the ceiling, but they are up there.
So I think Kristoff would take a step back and he'd say, let's see how you do against a little storm raven wolf. And he's sort of like, and you see, the wood. It's not. He starts to kind of grunt, and inside the Bleak, something very different happens. It's to shift and change into an animal, into a creature. So instead of this normal sort of exoskeleton that his druidic magic has taken the shape of, here in the Bleak, he starts to kind of shape, and you see him start taking the form of this huge wolf with these broad shoulders. And then you see it sort of bounce and collapse into this fat creature. And it squats down, and you see Kristoff in front of you as a river bear. And he says, I was supposed to be a wolf.
Oh, that's perfect. Now, do me a favor and give me a D100 roll, please, Timbo.
Sure. I will do this. I can do this. I can do this.
Add dice to the initiative. I super forgot to do that.
Nah. We don't need that scrub.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I'm a copper jackal.
That free weekend provoker.
What a scrub.
It's a 65.
65? Man. Okay. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need you to choose 3 creatures. So basically just choose one of the groups of kobolds, either one of the shield groups or the spearhucking group. Just choose one of them.
Yep. Shield group on my left.
Okay. As you sort of access magic here inside the Bleak, you feel it kind of, normally you're used to the magic sort of flowing through you and you have control of it. And even though you're able to, take your wild shape, you feel the magic kind of lash out of you as it sort of triggers. And this Bleak lightning just rips through the room and strikes these kobolds, and they disappear in just a gout of just a flash of lightning. There's nothing but dust left. Just...
And I'm sorry, I have to do this. You'd see a tiny river bear poop. Like I'm saying, just boop.
All right. So you've taken your wild shape. Is that a standard action, or do you have other stuff you can do? Do you want to?
I should know that.
You probably should, but you've never played D&D before, so
no, I'm not a D&D.
No.
So let's see. It's a wild shape. It is an action. So it is. I will say. I don't think I would move. I think I would probably, if anything, sort of. You know what I would do? I would sort of like squat down for either Dice or Sander to get on my back if they would choose to do so.
Okay. Yep. So you're basically just presenting yourself like, hey, someone mount up. I can get you there.
Like, yeah, like whoops, but hey, happy accidents.
Yeah, perfect. And as you do this, you see Dice. He kind of reaches into his tunic pocket, and you see him come out. And as he pulls his hand out, a silvery metal staff sort of materializes in his hand as he conjures his Missourium staff. And he sort of twirls it and slams it into the ground. And he looks at you, Christoph, and he says, "Keep him off me. I'll get us out of here." And he begins sort of concentrating, trying to open a portal back up. The kobolds, one of the groups of shield-bearing kobolds just got vaporized by bleak lightning. The second group march forward towards you, closing the gap between them and you. They jut forward with their spears, attacking both the river bear and Sander. Let's see.
Don't forget that new AC.
I know. I'm like, oh. All right. Spear plus 3. Okay. All right. I actually did hit you, Christoph, with a 19 on the die. So that'll be 5 piercing damage.
Okay.
The rest of the spears are either knocked aside or kind of bounce off of your, blubbery sort of flesh.
Yeah.
The spear throwers then take aim. Okay. One actually manages to hit you, Sander. 6 piercing damage as a small spear kind of sort of lands in you.
Can I actually use my reaction to try to deflect this missile?
You sure can.
Okay, so I imagine that well, let me roll before I describe it, huh?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, wait, no, so I don't think I have to. I can see how much damage is reduced, I think. But with
right, and then if you reduce it to 0, you've caught it, right? Is that the deal?
I think that's how it works, yeah. So I rolled on my D10, not very well. Yep, that's a 1.
So you reduce the damage by 1. Oh, you get a
plus my dex, plus my monk level. So I think that's 7. So I think I'm good.
You reduce it. You catch the spear. What does that look like?
Okay, so I am actually going to just kind of barely catch it, flip it around, and kind of use the momentum.
God.
Just kind of like, I'm not even really catching it. I'm just kind of, and just kind of grab while it's, as I flipped it around, and hurl it right back at the kobold who threw it.
That's so awesome. And you can hurl it back as part of the reaction. That's part of the
if I spend one key point.
One key point. Mobs are so cool.
And I imagine that might just be the same damage that he did to me. I don't know. It doesn't say.
Well, I would assume that you have a spear now that you're throwing back at the kobold. So after you throw it, you can see and roll for damage.
Okay. So should I roll to hit too?
Yeah, I think you have to roll to hit. So
yeah, you make the attack with proficiency. It says regardless of your weapon. Okay, I see. Yep. And then weapon counts as a monk weapon for the attack. So okay, it'll be the same as my quarterstaff, I think. Then okay. So I also rolled a 1 on my D20. So we're gonna go ahead and have that. Yeah, that's gonna be a 6 to hit. So
do you want to use inspiration? You guys are basically swimming in inspiration at this point.
Oh yeah. Yes, I do. Thank you for pointing that out, Matt.
It was a pretty inspiring moment. I mean, it's not like it was just
And that one was a 15, so that's going to be a 21 to hit.
21 to hit absolutely hits. Go ahead and roll for damage. So it's going to be a 1d6 plus whatever ability mod you use to attack.
And that is a 6 plus 3 is 9 damage.
9. Okay, cool. So you don't actually take the kobold out, but you do hit home with this spear. You see it kind of roll backwards as the spear hits it.
Awesome.
Very cool. Good job, man. Okay, you know what? I should probably have a thing to keep track of hit points here.
Nah, wing it.
Nah. Winging it. Okay. Very cool. All right, so that was all the kobolds. So now we're at Sander, you're up.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna hop on a river bear, and I am also going to. I think I will use my action. I don't know if I can do this, since I'm. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my action to dodge. I don't know if I can do that on a river bear.
I'm gonna say you can. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why you can't.
Okay. So I think that's just anyone who attacks me gets disadvantage. Is that right?
Yeah, I think they have disadvantage against you if they try to attack.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to hop on River Bear and be ready, kind of brace myself. And yep.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. Okay. That was Sander. Edric, you are up. You are on the ceiling, my friend. You see this battle kind of start to commence, and you see what looks like a wizard like spinning a staff around and starting to conjure magic down on the floor as well.
But I'm not really paying attention to the wizard, even though I probably should be in a metagaming perspective. But what I am looking at is a bunch of kobolds attacking my friends, and one of my friends who just turned into a river bear, which is awesome enough as it is. But my question is, though, is that from the ceiling, if we go into a three-dimensional perspective, how close are the group of kobolds that are like basically the missile infantry, so the javelineers, the ranged guys? How close are they to me if I was on the same level as them? Like, would they be 10 feet, 15 feet?
So if you were on the same level as them, you'd be like 10 feet away from them.
Okay. So I'm going to run 5 feet, and then I'm going to jump off the ceiling, and I'm going to land right on them. Spread eagled. Like, I'm just going to use my bulky mass to crush this line of kobolds.
Very cool. So you sort of leap as far as you can off of this ceiling. And for a minute, it feels like gravity is sort of going to tug you back towards the ceiling where technically your floor is. But it seems like you kind of like break through the gravity of the ceiling, and your jump turns into a fall, and your sort of equilibrium flips again, and the ceiling becomes the floor, and you're falling towards the kobolds. What I'd like from you is like an athletics or an acrobatics check, just to see if you can land without hurting yourself here.
And that would be a 12.
A 12? Okay, so as you land, you kind of stumble a bit, and you're going to take 4 bludgeoning damage as you kind of fall, and you don't really land on the kobolds, but you land just outside of them, and you have to kind of tuck and roll to keep your momentum going, and you are within attack range of them.
For me falling, because I'm fully expecting to take some damage, I was just going to land on as many of them as possible, seeing as how the average kobold is like, tiny, and I'm, 6'8", probably, 260 plus armor.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and basically crush a bunch of them before I get up and
cool.
Start whacking away at them.
Awesome. Yeah. So you kind of clobber into these guys, rolling into their ranks, landing on top of a couple of them. The formation immediately breaks. They're kind of reeling back, starting to, get ready to throw spears again, and you fall into them. Go ahead and give me a roll of a d6 if you would. Adding your strength.
Oh, well then. So that would be 9.
9 damage. Okay, great. So you basically do a collective 9 damage to these guys as you kind of fall into them, scattering their ranks. You're now in the middle of these kobolds here.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Good job, man. That was awesome. Holly, you're up. You just saw Edric jump fall off of the ceiling.
Yeah, and Holly's looking at that now, and she begins running over into that direction to position herself on the ceiling above Edric and those kobolds.
Mm-hmm.
And she, on her way, chucks her crossbow into this just gathering of eggs, and like one pops and something dies and it just kind of sticks there as she runs along the wall downward into the neutral kind of gravity place to get onto the floor. But on her way, she reaches into her satchel and she pulls out the object, the owl figurine of Nimbus, of Algrim Emberhand. And she looks at the bottom, like staring, as she's sprinting down, she looks at the command word that needs to be spoken, and she says it aloud, imminence. And the figurine just emerges as this massive, huge owl, 8 feet tall, 10 feet tall, and begins heading down towards Edric to not only help him obliterate the remainder of this squad, but using Holly's maneuvering attack, if she can, as a fighter, that owl's going to get him out of there if he wants to.
Awesome. All right, cool. So you're going to do an attack, and the owl's going to try and save Edric?
Yes. Well, the owl's going to be doing the attack and using my maneuvering attack ability to save Edric. If that's too much, it doesn't have to. Either way, the owl's just going to fly into this squad and roll an 18. So.
Yeah, dude. Do it.
Sweet. That is a total with the talons. That is 21 to hit.
Definitely hits.
And that's 8 points.
Very cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, so Edric, you're fighting, and you basically see this gigantic owl. And I don't know, like, Barker, you can describe like what color it is, what kind of owl it looks like. I'm not sure, but this owl basically just crash lands into these kobolds, and it maybe even like slams one with its giant talons into the ground and just kind of starts beating its wings and like pecking at these kobolds. It's got this vapor. It's almost a completely like green owl, and you can kind of see through it at all times. It's not entirely opaque, and it's got this kind of vapor spurring out of its wings as it's bashing these things. Awesome, man. That's great. That's so cool. I'm so glad I gave you that owl. Me too, man. At first I thought it was a single use, but when I read it wasn't, I was like, dude, I'm using this right now. You can use it all the time. Yeah, it's basically an animal companion that you have now, so that's pretty dope. Yeah, it's a mechanical owl like in Clash of the Titans. Yeah, man. Definitely. It's got those little eyes that... Actually, we should retcon that and make it like a big mechanical owl, like a cool... I'm down with whatever you want, man. Yeah, you make the calls. Okay, cool. It's a mechanical owl with vapor coming off of it.
Vape Nation.
Vape Nation. All right. That was Holly. We're back at the top with Kristoff. You are an owl bear, or not an owl bear. You're a river bear, and you have Sander on your back.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I do. I go, and then I'm an owl bear. No, I'm just kidding. So as he's dodging, I'm essentially going to charge this whoever is the front bowling pin in this unfortunate group. Now I know the owl just swooped in and kind of wrecked shop, so I'm looking for that. The one who looks like he's just missed the owl attack. He's like, no, you're not getting me. I'm going to get him. Well,
and you see that the group that's being attacked by Edric and the owl is the group that was throwing spears like near the back of the room. Mm-hmm. But you're right next to this group that's still sitting there holding their spears coming towards you. So they haven't been attacked yet.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. That's right. There were two groups like that. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that the one was evaporated by lightning, but there were...
No, you only got one of them.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to do some magic again and hope I get lucky. I'm just like casting prestidigitation.
Hope I run a 60. Hope I roll a 63 again.
Come on,
Ripper 63. Attack, man. Ripper bear.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I'm gonna charge. And so, yes, I will attack the front bowling pin in this, the ones that are slowly progressing toward us.
Cool. Yeah, go for it. Roll me an attack.
Cool. All right. Oh, not so bad, River Bear. Not so bad at all. I remember when Mother was a River Bear. Oh, she was a stout one. Your mother was a handsome River Bear. So, essentially, I don't have the actual wild shape for a river bear, so I'm just using a wolf.
That's fine, yeah.
Four-legged animal.
Yep.
So I get this creature's ability. So there are two things that the wolf has, if you'll allow it for the river bear. One is it's INSTA kill, insta kill. No, pack tactics. So it rolls on any creatures. If I have an ally within 5 feet,
Which you have an ally within 0 feet, so that's perfect.
So then I get right. So I get advantage. And then the other thing is that if I do actually bite, you have to succeed on a strength check or be knocked prone. So with that, my attack is a 16. Oh wait, no, I lied to you. Advantage. My attack is a 16.
Okay, that hits.
All right, so you need to make a DC 11 strength saving throw or be knocked prone, and I will give you my damage in the meantime.
I made it.
All right, and the damage is 6.
Cool. So you grab hold of one of these kobolds and start kind of shaking him around, but you don't manage to get a tight enough grip to have him be knocked prone. But so he stays standing with his shield and kind of is holding his shield up to defend himself. Okay. That was Kristoff. It's the kobold's turn. Okay, so Edric, you are surrounded by kobolds. Luckily, you have Nimbus here helping you out, but still a few spears are going to be coming at you here. Miss. Oh, hit, miss. Okay, so that is going to be 22 to hit, which definitely hits, and 7 piercing damage. And miss. All right, the kobolds in front of Kristoff and Sander attack with their shield or with their spears. Miss. Hit. Sander, you're going to be taking 5 piercing damage from one of these spears that finds its mark. This kobold kind of he sort of lowers his shield and takes a chance jutting forward with the spear, and you feel it kind of find yourself. Oh, disadvantage. That's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's dodging, my man.
Yep. Okay, well I rolled a 20 on my reroll, so that first one still hits. I don't get the crit, but that first one still hits. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgotten about that.
Yeah.
So no five piercing damage as one of the spears finds its mark.
Yep.
And Holly, you're still on the ceiling. You're kind of moving down, but you're still up, right?
Yep.
You see, moving across the ceiling, you see a group of Dragonborn, heavily armored, marching across the ceiling, coming at you, wielding swords and shields.
Okay.
They're about, 40 feet away from you at this point. All right. That was Kobold. Sander, you're up.
So Dice had said something about trying to open a gate, correct?
Yeah, he basically said, keep him off me. I'm going to try and get us out of here. So he's kind of he has his staff and he's concentrating, and you kind of see kind of magic sort of coalescing around him. You see ice kind of spreading out on the floor from his feet as he's conjuring magic. The air around him getting very cold.
Yep. All right, cool. So I am going to actually try to, as elegantly as possible, roll off Kristoff's back to strike at the nearest kobold, kind of catch him off guard. Maybe they're focused on the big river bear, kind of roll off and try to flank.
Absolutely, yeah.
Myself. And that is going to be a 16 to hit.
That hits.
My quarterstaff. And it's been a while here. I think with my unarmed, so I'll do my unarmed strike 2 for the monk. And that is a 14 to hit.
Does not hit.
Okay. So I get with my my quarterstaff will do 8 damage to this kobold as I just kind of, he's not turned to me, and I just whack him across the side of the head.
Very cool. And I imagine that you kind of like, you end up behind this line of kobolds. It's kind of holding their shields because you just kind of jump off of this river bear that carried you over there.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right. That was Sander. It's now Edric.
One thing I should probably have mentioned, and this was my bad, but for that one attack with those kobolds, I would have only had an AC of 17 because I did not activate that shield, and I should have.
That's fine. I don't think any of that, like the rest of the rolls I rolled, other than that one hit, were like 4s and 5s. So
okay,
the dice are not with me tonight.
But for right now, I will, because you got to be an honest player. So I will use a bonus action, and I will I'll just in my head, just just in the midst of battle, just heart rate and adrenaline is just pumping. I think of this word, the shith, and this shield just begins to split and crack into light, and just begins to crack, and all of a sudden just explodes, just bursts, and then just forms in this light, in this shape of me, like this. Each piece looks like a jagged stained glass portion, and every time, so I'm seeing this shield, I thought it broke, but it's just forming up, and every time something gets closer, it kind of organically forms stained glass, kind of in one direction or another, trying to shield me in every way, shape, and form. Holding my my poleaxe aloft there, I kind of use it in a baseball swing and just begin to cleave into the first kobold.
Awesome.
And that will be, hey, why don't you pull up that character sheet, Mike? Yeah, there's a good idea. That'll be a 15.
Just enough.
Righto. And that'll be 9 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And I will use my action surge, and I will come around and just hit another one. I'm trying to put the hurt on all of them. So, that will not hit, not with a nat 3. So as I kind of swing around, I'm still not used to this floating, strange looking shield kind of in my way. So I think I'm going to hit it. So I kind of swing around and stop for a moment, and that's just enough for the kobold to dodge out of the way.
All right, awesome. All right, that was Edric. So Holly and Nimbus, you guys are up.
So Holly sees Nimbus just kind of crash into this squad, and she smirks a little bit before she notices the Dragonborn that are marching in the room in battle formation. And she will, once she sees them, that smirk is wiped from her face, and she'll kind of pause, back up a little bit, reach for her crossbow and pull it out of those eggs. And she's going to hold this goopy, disgusting crossbow up and pull the trigger at any one of these Dragonborn, hoping it does any damage at all against their thick scales. It doesn't look good so far, as maybe she got a 13.
Not enough. You see the bolt just kind of, the lead Dragonborn just brings up its shield and it thunks into the shield, and then he just continues marching forward.
"We've got company," she yells.
Classic. All right, Nimbus?
Yeah, classic. Nimbus churs and reaches out with his talons. He's going to try to grab one of these kobolds that are chucking spears in his talons and perhaps carry him somewhere.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and give me a strength, adding athletics if it has it. I don't imagine it does.
Awesome. I don't think so. 17 total, 16 plus 1.
Okay, cool. It grabs the kobold.
You see Nimbus just grapple this kobold and lift it up off the ground, and Nimbus is going to carry it over the flaming white-hot brazier.
Oh, that was in a different room, but I wish that it wasn't.
Oh, really?
That would be so
Oops.
cool.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought they were in that same room. Damn.
No, that would
Then,
be so cool.
You know what? No. Something even better. Nimbus will begin flying upward almost ultra fast, supersonic speeds, and let go of the kobold, releasing it into its new gravitational pull, splat right on the ceiling. And then it kind of peels off, but stays. I don't know what it does.
I love that. Like, it just kind of lets it go halfway up, and the kobold just kind of catches the gravity from the ceiling and just, yep, I love that. That's perfect.
And like falls, and then like falls,
and then falls. Perfect.
So
the
cool.
day I have had.
Oh, the day I've had. That kobold is like, I better be getting a raise after this. All right.
Is that a friggin' owl?
What the hell? All right. This is supposed to be a cushy position here. Monitoring these eggs. Top of the initiative, we're back to Kristoff the River Bear.
All right. So continuing, as you know, Sander and I are just knee deep in these guys. I am probably especially upset at the one who's trying to tag me. So I'm going to try again. Now, it's up to you, because this mechanic, if he's on top of me or near me within 5 feet, I get advantage on all attacks. If that seems a little unfair, you call it.
No, I think that's fine.
All right, I will take the 18, and that's on the die. So that's a 21.
That definitely hits.
All right, and then it's strength of you need to roll an 11 or fall prone, and that is 3. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Ooh, I'm good.
All right, man, these are some strong kobolds, and that's 8 hit points of damage.
Cool.
And I'm just like swatting. I think I'm swatting my tail and like biting and just trying to kind of like knock them down with bowling pins.
Yeah, and you're scattering them a little bit, like between you sort of railing him into him in the front and Sander being behind him. They're sort of breaking formation a little bit and sort of just trying to defend themselves more than anything else. All right, that was Krustoof. Now it's the Cobbles. Thank you for that, Barker. Cobbles, Singer, Idris Elba, Helly, and the New York Giants are next step in the initiative order, just in case you were wondering.
Singer. I don't know. It's just anyone.
Just one of them.
A major one.
Miss. Good Lord. Dice, come on. Oh, my God. There we go. Okay. Edric, one of these kobolds actually gets pretty lucky, especially with your shield being activated, and rolls a nat 20 against you. You are going to take 10 piercing damage as you feel a spear enter in between your ribs at your back, just right in there, as one of these kobolds gets a lucky shot, and the kobold kind of drives it in and twists it a little bit between your ribs.
Just a quick question. These are not magical. These weapons aren't considered magical, right?
They are not, no.
Because I got damage reduction, and I keep forgetting I've got DR because it's one of those things that I've never used. Because you know I'm a 5th edition child. I'm a sweet summer child,
right?
So I'm getting used to the whole idea of damage reduction. So that would be 7 then.
Okay, cool. What do you get damage reduction from?
I'm glad you asked. I took a feat when I was but a level 1, a youngin, and it's heavy armor master. And I get +1 strength, and I get a damage reduction of 3 on non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage.
That's dope. Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, you reduce the damage by 3 then. Cool. All right, these Dragonborn close the distance between themselves and Holly. 2 of them swing their swords. Oh, damn. That's 2 hits. Roll damage. 10. So, Holly, these 2 swords find their mark. You're going to take 10 slashing damage from these long swords as these Dragonborn just lay into you. They kind of they like break formation and kind of encircle you a little bit. There's kind of this half circle of Dragonborn sort of marching towards you, and two of them lunge forward and swing with their swords, while the other two stay behind and defend with their shields. All right, that was the bad guys. Now it's Singer's turn. Sander, you're
up. So yeah, I'm going to. I think. How does this work after an attack? I'm going to use Flurry of Blows. So I just kind of, I kind of sink into this almost meditative state before I just lash out rapidly, and going to make a bunch of attacks here. Okay, so the first one
just called these kobolds Bleak Bolds. I love that.
That's cool. All right, so the first attack is going to be with my quarterstaff will be a 16 to hit.
That hits.
Okay, and then I definitely have one miss from an unarmed strike, and I got one that's a 13 to hit, and another one that's way too low.
So one hit.
Okay, so just my quarterstaff. And so does one of those? Does the 13 didn't hit? Did it?
The 13 did not hit. No.
Okay. Yep. So just my quarterstaff. As I lash out, it kind of knocks one, and then my other blows kind of fall off their mark or are dodged. But that is going to be a 6. That's going to be a 9 to hit with my quarterstaff. I'm sorry, 9 damage.
9 damage. Okay, cool. I was like, wait, what?
No.
One of the kobolds goes down as you wallop him with your quarterstaff. There's now just a couple standing there left.
All right, cool.
Good use of wallop.
Thank you. I pride myself in my use of wallop. It's because I was raised in Puyallup.
I was thinking it.
Yeah, I went there. The Wallop in Puyallup, that's a car show that happens every year. As you knock this kobold to the ground, you guys all see this blinding flash of light, and you see Dice standing there in front of an open portal, and he kind of turns, and he's holding his staff, and he goes, "Let's go, come on." And he kind of starts like trying to usher you in through the portal. You see more Dragonborn entering on the far side of the room. That was Sander. It is now Edric's turn.
All right, so I will probably again come back around and attack, at least attack probably the one kobold that I've already injured, and not screw this up. Don't you screw this up, Billy? Oh no, that is definitely not a screw up. That would be a 22.
Definitely hits.
Yep. And that'll be another 9 damage to that little gaffer.
Cool. You take another one of the kobolds down.
Be no javelineering for you.
All right. Anything else in your turn, Edric, or are you done?
Actually, I don't think there's anything else I can do, at least until I get that second attack. One day soon. One day very soon. All right. That was Edric. Holly.
Holly cries out in pain, and immediately as she does so, the bright white light just explodes out, and she grasps it. You said it was a sword that stabbed her, right?
Mm-hmm.
She grasps it with her hands, and she's actually going to, like, in her palms, pull it out of her and use a second wind to gain some HP back.
Very cool.
All right, cool. So that's is it 8 total? So all right, almost all of it. Great,
not bad.
Yep. And then she will kind of shove it to the side. She grabs her crossbow, because that was a bonus action, and fires it upward at this dragonborn that's kind of looming over her to try to get it underneath her ribs. And
very cool.
18 total.
That hits.
Excellent, beautiful, and 9 total damage.
9 damage. Perfect.
And she begins to kind of like back away and scoot away towards the white light. She hears this strange yet somewhat familiar voice call out, and so she begins to head that way.
And the Dragonborn, you put a bolt into it pretty much at point blank range, and it sort of like wheels back a little bit, and then it just kind of goes and like continues coming forward towards you.
Well, he's going to have to deal with Nimbus, who's about to fly like right into his back.
Yeah, and it's Nimbus's turn.
What? What a coincidence! That's a 14 on the die, with the talons kind of Nazgul crashing through the soldiers type of thing. 17 to hit.
17 hits.
Excellent. And the damage done is 9. 9 slashing damage.
9 damage. That Dragonborn goes down as Nimbus just crashes into it. So this Dragonborn gets pegged by this bolt. He just kind of reels back, and then he stalks forward, and he's about to sort of slash down with his sword, and this huge shape just kind of pins him to the ceiling.
Beautiful.
And he just disappears underneath the mass of Nimbus.
That's awesome.
All right. Holly and Nimbus went. Okay, Kristoff, you are up. You see
I'm
the
gonna
portal open behind you. Dice is kind of like, come on, come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride Nimbus is the thing. So I'm just gonna
A river bear riding a giant mechanical owl. D&D, baby.
It's Sanders riding Kristoff, riding Nimbus.
D&D, baby.
There's turtles all the way down.
This is a hoverboard. It's an owl hoverboard. All right. So I think I would. I don't know. Now, Sander, did you remain on me, or you've been running around, right? You're on hop. Are you?
I'm running around. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Because I was like,
Bobbing
I'm about to change. I was gonna say I'm about to change back into a person, so it'd be really funny if I ran to the portal, giving you a piggyback ride.
He's like on your shoulders, just like, come on, let's go.
It's just like.
We got a banjo kazooie situation going on here.
Oh man, we have a banjo kazooie. So, but I would take the moment to stop and just assure that anything that's close, because I know Nimbus is doing his thing and everyone's kind of getting through the portal. But basically, I'm going to just post up and just snarl my river bear teeth, make sure that nothing is close enough to get through. And then if I see that no creature of any sort is close enough to get through, I would then run through the portal.
Yeah, you're good. So you run through the portal. You're out. All right. The kobold's turn. That is double ones. Great. All right, Sander, these spears are jutting at you, but you're just like, you're just, you can't, you're a blur. You cannot be pierced by these spears. Edric. Oh, one actually manages to get you.
That's exciting because I actually get to use one of my traits for my archetype. I get to use riposte. Look, I'm gonna hit the bastard. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the bastard. I'm gonna hit the bastard.
So
no, I will
he hits you for 6 damage. I'm not sure what that means for you.
Well, that means I get hit for 3, but I can spend a superiority die to use a reaction to hit the little bastard that just hit me. So
awesome.
So I'll spend that, and I get to add that superiority die to the damage if I hit.
Awesome.
So that'll be a 20 to hit,
It doesn't hit. No, I'm just kidding. Of course it does.
And
come on.
And that'll be 15 points of damage.
Good Lord.
So I imagine it hits and it kind of like wheezes a laugh in its own way. And seeing this thing like kind of into my side, I just look, get angry, just grab my pole axes just with one hand and just come bring it straight down on the hammer end. And you just see its little head impact straight down into its chest and just gone. As if it
just disappears.
Skull like splits again.
It's the opposite of a Rock'em Sock'em robot. The head just is gone.
Yeah. It's like its body just absorbed it.
Yeah. I have to. All right, I gotta give someone a shout out here in the chat. Gamers Theater just did the phonetic spelling of Banjo's sound from Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm very excited about that. And to commemorate this event, all NPCs going forward in this session will talk like Banjo-Kazooie characters. So everyone will be like, just like that. So
All NPCs, so dice.
Yeah, dice will be like, yeah, just like that. Okay. The Dragonborn are now sort of. I imagine that Nimbus sort of put himself between Holly and the rest of the Dragonborn, just like, hey, what y'all doing to my friend here? So they are attacking Nimbus, but they suck. Oh my god. Time
Nimbus
for
has an
some
armor
new
class
dice. What is Nimbus's AC? Never mind. I didn't hit
12.
it. Unless it's 4, I didn't hit it.
Well, it was 12 until I made it into a clockwork owl, so now it's like 20.
No, it's like it's a construct, so it gets +2. So
yeah,
you know,
plus 20.
Also,
All right.
it's made of
What's the
mithril.
soak on that? What's the soak on that? Has it got some sick soak on that, or what? What's the soak?
Oh, Xander, it's your turn.
I, if possible, am going to follow Kristoff through the portal.
You do so.
All right.
All right. Edric.
So, as I'm assuming the amount of kobolds around me has now died down.
It's a much more manageable number of kobolds for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna look over to Holly and see where she's at. Is she at the? Is she at the? Like-
She's currently on the ceiling with Nimbus above the portal, and she's currently on the ground. I would think, like prone.
All right. So I'll run over to her, grab her, and see. And I saw Sander and Kristoff go into the portal.
You did, yeah. And you see the wizard still standing at the portal, and he's kind of waving you in.
Okay, I'm gonna run. Damn, that got me. I'm gonna run over to Holly and pick her up. So I don't know if it's far enough that if I have enough movement and an action to pick her up and begin running towards the portal.
Yeah, you definitely can. And I'll say that you guys are able to make it to the portal. The kobolds kind of throwing spears. They're kind of landing in the ground around you. What is Nimbus doing as the two of you are escaping?
I was imagining that since we were coming off the ceiling, you'd pick me up, Edric, and like leap off, and we'd be flying downward, and Nimbus comes, and we land on Nimbus, and we fly into the portal on the mechanical owl. Is what I imagine. Or we could just.
I'll even make an athletics check if I have to make that happen.
I'm not going to make you make a check because that's awesome. So that's really cool. And the owl basically flies in. And as the owl flies in, Dice gives like one more cursory sort of look. And he sort of looks with this like cold and passive masked face. And some of the kobolds that are approaching kind of like stop for a second and are like, whoa. And then Dice just kind of like backs into the portal and it closes behind him. You all are outside. You think. You find yourselves on a large balcony of sorts. It seems to be the same structure because it's made from that same sort of seamless stone. There's no marks where this stone has been milled. It's all just one big piece, almost like it's been carved or melted together. The air around you is resplendent with these dark purple clouds and blood red lightning that just continuously flash through them. The air is rushing past you. This fortress, this structure, is moving through the Bleak. You're all kind of catching your breath here on the balcony as this wizard appears among you, sort of leaning on his staff. He sort of has to catch himself on the edge of the balcony, and you hear him breathing heavily as whatever magic he's using to control the Bleak is exerting him quite a bit. What would the four of you like to do now that you are in this seemingly safe area?
Who are you? Holly will say, out of nothing.
This steel mask, this copper sort of hued mask, featureless, turns and looks at you, Holly. And you hear like a sharp intake of breath.
Holly reaches into her bag and she pulls out an object and she tosses it to him. It's the wooden D20.
He catches it in the air. You kept it.
You gave it to me. He gave it to me.
It belonged to your father. He made it for you.
You better give it back then.
He comes forward and he puts it in your hand, and his hand kind of lingers on yours, Holly. And then he just kind of, you feel yourself being pulled, and he's hugging you. And you just feel his arms on you.
All of a sudden, she's standing next to a barrel of apples that she had pushed over in a fit of anger in the front yard of this cottage. And she's being embraced by Aaron Ellington there. And she's 4 foot tall. And she has her dad again.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that day. I didn't know how. And I didn't know that I wouldn't see you again for a very long time, and I'm sorry.
She reaches up and touches the copper mask. What does it feel like?
It feels like very cold, completely smooth metal. There's not a single sort of seam or ridge to it. It just feels like stainless steel, like it's just smooth. And as you go to reach up to it, he kind of like shies away at first, kind of pulling away from you, but then he kind of lets you touch the mask.
After a long moment, she'll withdraw, and Nimbus just lets out this chirr, and it's loud and whoa, like surprising. And then he kind of into the compact figurine that's kind of spinning back and forth on the floor. And Holly goes and reaches and picks it up. And she asks, "Where are we going?"
Dice melts his staff down to a liquid and sort of tucks it away into his tunic. We're leaving. I'm getting the 4 of you out of here. Your friends here, he looks at Sander and Kristoff, convinced me.
Convinced you of what?
That you don't belong here. Here in the Bleak. He moves to the edge of the balcony and sort of ushers everyone over. And as you move to the edge of the balcony, you see that indeed this huge fortress that you've been inside of, it sort of defies all sort of typical architecture. It doesn't have any top or bottom. It's just this massive sprawling structure of stone. And you see, to your horror, you can't even comprehend what you're seeing. This structure is built on the back of a dragon. And the dragon is the size of a city. And the wings that are beating could span a coastline. This is the largest, most unfathomable creature you have ever seen. And this massive dragon is carrying this structure on its back as it flies through the Bleak. None of you belong here. I'm getting you out. Tim wrote in the chat, I attack. It scratches the itch and kills all of you. That's what happens.
I mean, it can't have more than 1,800 hit points.
1,900 maybe at the most.
Let me get an energy drink. I think we can do this.
Yeah, I mean, hey, think about it. It's so big, like you can't miss it.
It's true.
You know, like
it's true.
You know, even if you rolled a 1, I mean, technically, you just can't miss it. It's just like, look, stab at the ground. There it is. You know, kick it, stomp on it. You know, there it is. You're
Stab at the ground.
It's like attacking the earth.
Attack the dirt.
Dice sort of leans against the edge of this balcony. These are the kinds of things that live here, that call the Bleak home. And all of them won out.
The gate must stay shut, Holly says.
Dice looks at you. You heard.
She nods.
I thought it was you. That was a couple hundred years ago for me.
She has a look of shock on her face as she looks at him. What?
Time here in the Bleak works differently. You four have been in here for a few hours at this point. Probably only a few minutes has gone by back home. My best guess is that I've been in here for about 5 years. But in reality, well, here in the Bleak, it's felt like centuries. This one, he points to Sander, said he has some sort of key. We can use that to open the door and get you four out. So that's what we're going to do.
And I kind of take out this orb and I cradle it in my hand. Show us the way.
The door here, it's in a place very dangerous. We won't be able to fight our way through. We have to get out as quickly as possible. Do you all understand? The thing that guards this door is the thing that commands that. And he points to the city-sized dragon. She is ancient. And she has waited a long time to get out of here. The corruptor tried to crack the door for her. He succeeded to a certain extent. We stopped him before he could open it the whole way. But I know what's going on. Even before I went in here, the bleak storms were getting pretty bad. With that orb, with that sphere, you can close them, right? That's what you said?
I think so.
That's what you have to do. All right. I need a moment, and then I'll take us to the door. So Dice needs to take a short rest before he can conjure another portal, so you all can take a short rest as well. So go ahead and give yourself some hit points back.
Let me hold it. Hit dice.
I was just watching Tron Legacy the other day, and I love that movie.
Yeah.
The scene in the end where they're flying over the digital sea, and it's just massive and vast, and it's just dark. And that's what I kind of am imagining, but with more horrifying creatures.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's like a perfect analogy there.
So we're all taking a short rest, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I would probably go up to this person who I've never met and don't even know, and I'd say, "Oh, thank you for helping us. My name is Edric Meadows. It's very nice to meet you. What's your name?"
He reaches up and looks at you with this placid metal mask, extends his hand and shakes yours. Aaron Ellington. Well, Dice.
Now, this would be a moment where if you were just learning how to play the guitar and, you've been playing for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden, you meet like Steve Vai, right? So just this dumbfounded. Aaron, and I kind of look at Holly for a second. He did you? And then I look over at Sandra. And I just kind of get to one knee and head just bowed down and got my poleaxe and I am honored to meet you, Mr. Dice Ellington. You're one of the best provokers that ever provoked. It's true, and it's just an honor to be in your presence since right now. I swears it, and I would do the. And at this point, and I just kind of devolved into very much a blubbering, just reverence.
So you've heard of me?
Well, of course, everyone's heard of you. You're the great and powerful wizard, the arch wizard that is super smart and everything about everything, and you once slayed a dragon and rode one and made it crash into the lake, and turned it into an ocean. I know all the stories about you, Mr. Ellington, and it sure is a real big honor.
This just placid metal face is just looking at you as you say this. Well, about 40% of what you said is true. Yeah. Thanks. I don't meet many people in here. It's good to meet you, Edric.
Oh no, I'm just not no one. I'm certainly not as powerful as the great and powerful archwizard Dice Ellington. And boy, it's really impressive to meet you.
I'm not an archwizard. Edric. I'm just a magicer that learned a few extra tricks. That's all.
Well, but I heard you once conjured a blizzard and you froze a whole massive group of marauding orc warriors, and then after that, people found out that if you froze all types of orc warriors, you could also freeze beef, and then when you freeze it, then you can keep it for longer, and it was just the most amazing thing. We even did that in Aldemir, but we don't have a magicer as powerful as you, and unfortunately we just end up salting all our beef. And I'm rambling now because maybe somebody could stop me. Could somebody please stop me? Because I really can't stop.
I'd be happy to stop you. It's that or stab myself in the face. Am I right? And this guy might have ridden a dragon, and I put my arm around Dice at this point, and I go, but he's a rotten cook. Can't quite get the texture. You know what I mean?
I didn't ride a dragon. I did get melted by one, but that's different.
So you are a provoker.
Yeah.
No, hang on. He's not just a provoker. He's a super powerful one.
I just have never. I have heard a lot of stories, as I'm sure you can tell. I didn't put it all together when we were in there. in your your day.
Well,
I guess that wasn't part.
At the time, we were just doing what needed to be done. That's really the extent of it. I was worried about my daughter. And
Your daughter, and it's for the first time Kristoff not being selfish, and it sort of clicks. And he goes back, and in his own mind, he's like, you just see, Holly, don't go too far. And it sort of like zooms in on that face, and it's not perfect. But, like Nate said, it's maybe it's a smile or this sort of fragment of a memory, and it sort of just hits me. And I look at Rast like, and I have like a stuttery Edric moment. Like it just clicks. And I am just locked eyes with Rast. I won't like not look away. Like awkwardly. Like what?
Mr. Dice, did you? Are you going to come with us, and maybe you could see your daughter again?
I saw her, Edric, and
but are you all right, Miss Holly?
And that was great. We're gonna see what things look like at the door. Okay. I don't want to make any promises right now.
Oh, you'll think of something, Mr. Dice. You're super smart.
Yeah. Right. Listen, I really need to start working on this portal. So Edric, it was weird to meet you, but it was good too. And he kind of like claps you on the shoulder. You fight really well. You remind me of you kind of remind me of Erenoth a little bit.
Oh wow! And I just turned this just beat red. And
yeah, Erenoth was really good at killing people, and Dice kind of like wanders off to go start conjuring the portal. Whenever we needed someone just killed, like Erenoth was always there to just take care of it. So anyway, you remind me of him, Edric. So.
And I'll smile and nod to that, not picking up on the sheer brutality of that backhanded compliment. And I'll probably go and stand guard anywhere, wherever he's nearby, just to protect him, because gotta protect your idols and whatnot.
And as you all are kind of standing there on the balcony, and Dice is beginning to conjure the portal, the dragon kind of leans a little bit, tilting itself as it sort of banks. And you start to realize like that's what the tremors have been, and why you sort of sometimes feel unsteady is because you're literally riding on the back of this massive city-sized dragon. And as it kind of tilts, there's this groan that just emanates throughout the entire structure as it kind of goes into this banking turn. After a few minutes, Dice, he is sitting there with his staff, and the portal again appears in a flash. All right, this is it. You ready to get the hell out of here?
Yeah.
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
Go through first. Wait for me on the other side. Don't move until I get there.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dice.
It's just dice. It's not Mr. Just go on. Go through.
I'm actually going to wait for someone else to go through first. And not because I don't trust the portal, but I just am not that person to, kind of run ahead. So I'd probably go second or third.
I think Sander would gladly step up first, and before going through, I would say to Dice, "Thank you for your help." And he's been blathering on about you for weeks, and I run through the portal.
Before you run through, Dice kind of stops you and says, "I remember you, by the way. It's the eyes. Did they treat you okay there?"
Thanks to you. You've done a lot of good for Erenoth. And a little bit for me too.
Wasn't on purpose. I would have taken you myself, but there's no life for a kid. You understand?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care.
You as well.
Ushers you through. The rest of you go through as well.
Yeah, I'd probably go right after Sander, and I'd look one more time at Dice and smile with my chest all puffed out and nod my head and go through.
And Kristoff would feign. He would do like kind of a fake, like he was gonna walk through, and then as at least Ed walked through, he would sort of pause and stop, and he would just he would kind of look at Dice and, hey, that perfect day. It'll never be perfect. Because and he, Kristoff sort of like thumbs a scar on his neck. And he's like, my brother gave this to me. It's on accident. We were doing what our mom said we shouldn't be doing. And anyway, the point is that perfect doesn't mean flawless. You're never going to have a perfect day in here. And, well, anyway, I'm not really not like a follower. I don't really. Whatever the hell it is you did, I appreciate it. And he puts his hand out to shake it.
Dice reaches out and shakes your hand. You four are carrying on what we started. We left it unfinished. And for that, I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't have to stay in here, man.
The just placid mask is just kind of looking at you, and he says, "There's no other place for me right now."
You sound like my brother.
Your brother sounds like a smart guy.
He was. Sometimes.
was.
Yeah.
He's a part of your perfect day.
Yeah. Yeah,
You'll
he's
see him
part of my
again.
perfect day.
You'll see him again. There's one thing half a millennia in here has taught me. It's that time doesn't really work the way we think it does. You can always go back there. That day, it still exists. It's still happening over and over and over again. You can go back there. And you don't have to get sucked into a death portal to do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know, my brother used to say something and it made me want to punch him in his face. And he'd just say he loved how honest the trees were in winter. You know, and the moron, he was, well, why? What? You know, he's fishing and of course everyone else would bite. He'd just say, they're experts at letting things go. Being bear. And so I'm going to do something that I feel like he would do, but something that I think is stupid. And Kristoff slides his brother's ring off his finger and he hands it to Dice. He says, hang on to that until the next time I see you.
Dice takes the ring. So the next time I see you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's less than 500 years.
Yeah, hopefully you'll know how to cook some better damn food.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. It's the texture, man.
It's the texture. All right. Get on through the portal.
All right. And Kristoff jumps through.
Now it's just Dice and Holly standing there. Dice kind of looks at you. I wish we had more time.
It's always me that leaves you.
It's not always your fault, though.
That's true. She pulls the wooden D20 again out of her pocket, holds it up, and looks at Dice and says, I'm going to keep this, though. I'm not going to let you hold on to this. This is mine.
I want you to keep it.
Will I see you again?
"500 years in this place has made me honest with myself and my predicament. I don't know. But I'm glad that I got to see you today. And now I remember your face now. I can actually see you now. He reaches up and with a wave of his hand, the copper mask around his face dissipates. And you see a face you remember and yet one you do not. It's half melted, old and withered. You see that it's slightly gaunt. Just, this is what heroism gets you, Holly, so tread lightly.
She nods, moves to speak, but doesn't. She didn't look disappointed at his blunt answer, but in response to it, she says, well, then in case I don't see you, I want to let you know that you were perfect in every way. And I miss you. And I never forgot your face.
I would do it all over again. Everything the way it happened. All the people that died, all the people we killed, everything that happened, me and Durgan and Eredon and Brasswick. I would do it all again to hand you that letter on the ramparts of Falhast. Go through the portal. We'll get you home.
She nods and says, I'll look forward to hearing those stories. But I'll probably hear them from Edric first.
Well,
and she...
Edric doesn't tell him right.
I think he tells him just fine.
His versions are a lot more exciting.
Yep. And she backs her way into the portal and turns around and walks into it at the last minute.
As you're walking through the portal, he replaces the mask over his face, and you see again that placid copper, and he materializes
her reflection in it.
Yeah, you see your face in it. He materializes the Mitsurium staff and follows you through. The four of you find yourselves in another large stone room, completely dark and quiet. You see sort of the vague silhouettes of shapes of pillars and statuary, stairs leading up and down. And on the far end of this room, a single, simple stone doorway, almost identical to the one in the Geyer archives. Dice materializes beside the four of you, the portal dissipating behind him. There's the doorway. Let's go see if that sphere of yours works. I'd hate to have all those long, tearful goodbyes and then have you four stuck in here with me.
Sander holds out the sphere. Says, "Let's hope so."
And
does it look any different, Matt?
The sphere is still has the glowing runes on it. And now you realize that they're glowing because you're literally inside the Bleak and it's reacting to it. But other than that, it doesn't appear to look any different.
Mm-hmm.
Dice appears wary. He's kind of looking around, checking in the darkness. You see his eyes kind of, or not his eyes, but you just see his face kind of flitting in different directions, looking. He goes, "Okay, let's move quickly." And he begins like moving across the floor towards the doorway. Do the four of you follow him across?
Absolutely. Totally.
You follow Dice across this room, and a voice calls out. "Leaving so soon?" Dice stops. He eases out a breath. "I'm not going anywhere. It's not you I'm concerned with." A woman steps out of the shadows. She is pale, almost completely white. Her eyes are devoid of pupils. They're just black. She's wearing very simple, form-fitting armor and a crown on her head that appears to be made of dragon bone. They look like horns coming off of her head. She steps down these stairs and very casually kind of sits on the stairs. "None of you are leaving. This is my prison, my edifice. You're staying here as my guests. This one, she points at Dice. He left too soon. Where have you been? I found my own corner of the Bleak. One where you couldn't find me. And yet here you are. And yet here I am. He steps forward with his staff. Sander, get to the door. Try and open it now.
Sander just kind of deftly jogs over to the door, holding out the this orb.
Go ahead and give me a charisma check, please.
That is a 16. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope. That's a... yeah, sorry.
You hold the sphere forward, and much like you did with the storm beneath Falhast, you feel this thing reacting. You feel it vibrating, and it begins rotating. The different pieces sort of clicking into place, the runes lining up. They glow brighter, and then it just flares to life. And similar runes begin lighting up along the edges of the doorway. And the door sort of takes on this shimmery quality. It's not this blinding portal. It just, all of a sudden, it feels like there's more to it, like this door, like a dark hallway just opened up beyond this door. Dice looks over and sees the door is open. He looks at you, Holly, and he says, I can't let her through. Go.
Holly nods. Looks down, kind of frowns, but nods and turns away, running towards the door.
The woman stands up and her eyes kind of flare. She steps slowly towards Dice, and as she does so, you see a shape moving behind her. You see that there is something massive behind her, sort of sitting on a throne. And as the orb lights up and the doorway lights up, this purple light falls upon a massive draconian creature seated upon a gigantic stone throne. You see a serpentine tail, multiple limbs and eyes. You see that it is a humanoid, but also reptilian. This creature appears desiccated, like it's been sitting on this throne for thousands of years, bound by gigantic chains. And you begin to realize what this woman meant when she called this place her prison. As she steps forward, the form on the throne begins leaning forward, miming her movements. She reaches out towards Dice. He clutches his staff, turns to the four of you and says, "Go now."
As Holly's backing away and running away, she's gonna fire a crossbow bolt at it. She's just gonna do it. It might not do anything, but she's gonna shoot as she's leaving.
I would be upset if you didn't. Go for it. I attack, Tim says again.
Oh, I get to roll. We can bring numbers into this? Excellent. Cool. 21.
What'd you say?
21.
21?
Total.
The cross, this thing is, are you firing at the woman or the creature behind her?
The massive creature, just
Yeah.
the huge, colossal, unkillable thing.
You fire, and the bolt passes through the woman like she's made of smoke. You see it go and lands in the creature, and it disappears in this creature's form. Like it's like throwing a needle at a lion. Like it's just like, maybe it hit. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's a Dixon Ticonderoga #2 pencil hitting the hull of a battleship.
Perfect.
Are the rest of you also moving towards the door? Sander is already there, sort of holding the sphere to hold the door open.
Yeah, I would definitely kind of try to be the last one, just holding this sphere.
And as I see Holly do that, it was just this. It'd be like, oh, come on! Like as she does it, I pop off a like a fiery spell arrow, just, and I would imagine, like you said, as it even gets close, it just it's like snuffed out, like it's just nothingness. Like, pencil #2.
And as you're sort of firing off these attacks at this massive thing, this thing swivels its head and dust and decay just falling off of it as it hasn't moved. And you see light begin to open in the hollows of its eyes. And you're not sure what it feels like to look upon the face of a god, but you imagine that this is probably as close as you'll ever get as this thing glares at you from its throne, sort of leaning against its chains. Edric, what are you doing?
Crap in my armor. I am beginning
Gonna have to go to the dry cleaners, buddy, after this session.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pee and poo poo.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to formulate the whole, like, trying to size up the situation. I see Sanders trying to hold open the door, and they're firing arrows, but I mean, like you said, what's the point? Like, there's no point. Like, you're not, you can't burrow into a mountain with a toothpick. You certainly can't do that to whatever the hell this giant, Drathulu thing is. So I just start booking it. But I stop quickly and I shout, "Mr. Dice, come on, just come with us, please." As I'm kind of like in that way that, you're stopping, but you're trying to like inch your way back to the door, but you're still trying to reach out to someone. So I'm just trying to reach out to him to, please come with us, kind of thing.
And as you do that, as you reach out to him, the words that come out of your mouth are accompanied by white plumes of smoke. And you see, as you're reaching out, the end of your polex, ice begins to sort of start growing on the steel and moving towards you. And you see that Dice is not listening to you, but he is beginning to levitate off of the floor as a cyclone of ice shards are cycloning around him. He rises up off the floor, holding his staff in front of him, almost like a polearm in and of itself. And as I imagine either Holly or Kristoff is yanking you through the door, the last thing you all see is this massive godlike creature reaching towards Dice with a gigantic hand, and Dice sort of floating up to meet it. And then you're all through the door. There is a rush of wind. You see purple clouds and blood red lightning. You feel as though you're falling. Or maybe you're flying. It's hard to tell. Up and down mean so little to you now. You hear words on the wind, words you don't understand, fragments of conversations. You see an armored man on a griffin holding the sphere aloft towards like a gigantic bleak storm, closing it. And then you all feel solid ground, maybe a little bit too solid, as you come flying out of the whispering door and you find yourselves with stone beneath you. All four of you are there, smoke rising off of you. Little crackles of red lightning arc between your fingers and your limbs as the bleak dissipates from you.
I would get up really fast and I'd go back towards the door just to try. Just not even by, like any sort of reason, just wanting to reach back and help Dice and pull him through.
And the door is smoldering. There's smoke coming off of the door, but as you just reach through it. If you walk through it, you're on the other side of it. You're still in this room. The door is closed. The gate has stayed shut. Dice made sure of that. As you all are kind of getting your bearings, you see a light kind of bobbing towards you. And you're not sure what it is. It's so dark in here. And the light kind of blinds you a little bit, and then you see a shape behind the light. Who's there? Morning, shooters. If you're here for the Iron Stones, they are locked away.
Does this sound like Crippling Tome?
Sounds exactly like Crippling Tome.
Holly, I probably rose up, brought her crossbow up, and then breathes out a sigh of relief as she sees him. It's just us.
By the gods, what are you doing here? I thought you were out in the desert.
Holly looks uncomfortably to Sander for the answer.
We were. And now we're back here. We've had quite a ride. How are things here? The archives.
They are fine. They are... did you just... He kind of looks at the door with kind of smoke rising off of it. Did you just come through the whispering door? Did you just use the whispering door?
Sander looks around and says, is everyone in one piece? Everyone okay?
Crippling drops the lantern that he's holding. I have to write this down. I have to. And he moves over and grabs a big book and opens it. Tell me everything. What it felt like, what it sounded like. If your bowel movements are normal now, you have to tell me everything. A whispering door has not been used in centuries. We don't know how they work.
I think Ed pooped his pants. That's what he was talking about anyway. And some pee.
Edric, is this true?
Edric would begin to walk out of the room, and as he does, he just puts a hand on the book. If it felt like heartache, that's what it felt like. It felt like heartache, and just with just one mailed fist, just slams down, and probably busting through the book and even part of whatever plinth that's on, and just walk straight out the door. Especially after someone that he's looked up to his entire childhood. Granted, yes, he's still a child, but most of his childhood and even into his young adulthood is gone, and he couldn't save him. And he just walks out and just dragging the butt of his poleaxe behind him.
I'm sorry, I did not mean to offend anyone.
Holly kind of puts out the fire. No, it's fine. But she will follow Edric out, concerned for her friend.
It's been a very emotional time. Confusing, to say the least, but We'll just need some time. We'll talk soon. And Sander walks out as well.
And you get the sense that like Crippling really wants to talk about it, but he's sort of like holding himself back, like, all right, yeah.
And Kristoff thumbs the journal that Crippling helped him with. I mean, that's a huge deal. And he's just like, get a quill, man. I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into it, did you get the scare stones?
You know, I can tell you everything you need to know but that. I think so. I mean, that sounds about right. I think Sandy has them. I think so. Yeah, but I got a lot to tell you about your elf friend.
My elf friend.
Yeah, I thought I saw a guy walking through here. Iskandar. Didn't we see him going back and forth? Am I crazy?
How do you know Iskandar?
Well, he came to where we were with the Unscorched, and he, in a dream, pretty much threatened our lives. And then we had the sphere, and then we were all teleported to the Bleak, and then we just came out. So I have no idea where he is right now, but he wants that sphere, and he seemed ready to kill for it. Wait, you're not working with him. Oh, are you going to try to kill me now? Don't do that. I'll probably be able to kill you.
And Crippling kind of gives you a look like, I'm in my nightgown, dude. Like, he shakes his head and says, we should not talk about it here.
Okay. Oh, man. You're going to want to see this, too. And Kristoff pulls out the shard of the God Sword.
You have been gone for like 2 days. What happened?
Oh, a lot. I hope you have a lot of ink.
Okay. And that is where we will end our session for tonight.
That was great. That was great. God, why did they teleport us? That's what I want to know. Like, just banished to the Bleak?
I don't know. Did they do it?
I don't know.
That was a wild ride, man. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Thank you. I promise that next session will be less emotionally crippling. We'll get back to the fun D&D stuff soon. I promise.
Dude, what are you talking about? That circular room combat with the ceiling and the floor was perhaps, like, I think the coolest combat we've done so far this
Thank you, man.
campaign.
I appreciate that.
Really,
I've
that was
always
a blast.
wanted to run a combat where you could be on any surface. I think that would be cool. So
Yeah, it was really great. And for me, I'm that guy who loved the last season of Game of Thrones because it was like payoff, payoff, payoff. I'm a little payoff jockey. So all these emotional sessions, as long as you want to run them, I'm like, yeah, let's just do this.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun, and I hope everyone watching had fun as well. It's getting pretty late, so I'm going to let these guys do their sign-offs, and then we'll probably call it a night, and we will play again very soon here after Christmas. So thank you guys for joining me, and thank everyone for watching. And yeah, we'll play again soon. So we'll do it in reverse order this time. We'll go ahead and start with Tim.
Edric, is this true? That's probably my favorite line. God, that's just... So... my name is Tim, and I am, like I said, I'm half of Tabletop Terrors. If you like the energy of this game, the way that Matt's creativity works with Barker's, with Tim's, with Mike's, with Nate's, you can get a fragment of that on the page at absolutetabletop.com. That same crazy creative energy gets funneled into writing Weapon Master 2. And it's way more than just a sequel. You have to check out this book. I'm probably more excited about this book than any other Be a Better. So check that out. If you pre-order it, it's on sale. I love you all.
Nate?
Thanks, everybody. My name is Nate, WASD20. It's been amazing. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike with Mike the Piper. Wow, yeah, that was a hell of a session. There was laughter, there was tears, there was bowel movements. It was it was kind of an all-encompassing sort of a session. But it was pretty amazing, and it's awesome to play in such an incredible campaign. So I'm really looking forward to the next one.
It really did have it all. Thrills, chills, poop, everything. Just every aspect of storytelling was there. All right, Barker, go ahead.
Yep, my name is Barker from Be a Better Game Master, and I play Holly. And thank you all for watching. Definitely go to absolutetabletop.com and pre-order Weapon Master 2. Just in the last 5 seconds, I created a weapon poison, a venom treatment that you can put on a weapon that when you hit someone, it explodes into a white cloud of frozen vapor that freezes their flesh off. And I just did that in 5 seconds. So I cannot wait for this book to come out. And thank you again, Matt, for this session. Edric, is this true? Super got me. But the best part, I think, was as the door was closing and you see these two just epic figures about to go at it, and then we don't. I saw that. I was there. That was the most cinematic thing I think I've experienced in an RPG lately, and I really appreciate this game. So thanks, man.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for joining me on it. So, and also we are going to be playing Dragon Grin campaign next weekend, next Saturday, I believe, December 9th is the date. So December 9th on Tabletop Terrors, we're going to be resuming our Dragon Grin campaign, which is a whole lot of fun. Tim's running that game, and I can't wait to play in that game, man. I love it so much,
pressure, right?
Yeah. I mean, if we don't fight a dragon god, I'm going to be a little upset.
Yeah, I'll shoehorn it in there.
Yeah, just put it in there.
That NPC, oh, it's a dragon god. It's a dragon with a smile.
Oh, it's the dragon god. My favorite part was when the dragon god was like punching people. That was my favorite part.
He was all mad because somebody all his juju beads at the movie theater.
All right, we should probably call it here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. As always, the support is just awesome. We love playing in this game, and we would play it even if no one watched. But having you along for the ride is just a cherry on top of the sundae. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Happy gaming all. May your pizzas always be hot and ready.